Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to SimPlay Motorsport here for your Pro-Am action. It is the halfway stage of the season, and where else would you want to be? Where else would you want to be tonight? There's nothing else on the telly worth watching, so it is all about being here at SimPlay Motorsport. I'm your host, Mathew Duffin. We should hopefully be joined by Dan Davis, who's just had to leave. I believe internet problems for him as he's come back in now. Will be joining us in the party. And it's going to be a great evening to be. Where else would you want to be? There's nothing else on the television tonight. Get your YouTube open and get in front of that and watch the SimPlay Motorsport stream. I've just realised I've actually been saying all that. Oh no, we are unmuted. I did unmute it. I am all right. We're good. It's not coming home. Dan, good evening.
Hello everyone. You may hear me drop in and out most of the night because my internet is horrendous. And I'm sick of it. But it's coming home. It's coming home from one of these drivers tonight, Mathew.
It is. It's Holland versus England. Netherlands versus England. But it's not the football. It is Diesel versus Max Mulder as we enter that halfway stage of the season. Who is going to be the driver, Dan, that goes into that back half? Championship leader. That's the biggest question.
After the practice session that myself has been in the past week, I'm going to have to say it's looking like it's going Dutch so far.
We've heard that one or two times, haven't we, in a championship for a race in the last few years? Yeah.
I mean, the thing is, though, Diesel on his own as well, which is he's kind of fighting with one hand behind his back because now with Tim Venting joining the party, Max has got kind of a rear gunner or maybe a championship rival later on. We just don't know. But from what I've seen, these two are very quick one here, and they're into their 55s. But Robert Smith already able to get himself into the 55s, but I have seen Max Mulder do a 55.3 in practice. So, I think it's going to be a lot for Diesel to do, but it's all based on reverse grids, how the race pans out, and basically going from there, really.
Yeah, it's going to be an interesting one. Good evening to Mike Matthews, Evsky, Fleming, Class, Gary Clarble. Hope the operation went well, Gary. Senna's in there, as is Skeletor. Good evening to you, PN Motorsport, and Ian Gray, who's saying good luck, everybody. Now, one thing we have to say, Dan, it is a scorcher here at Paul Ricard. Ambient temperatures hitting 31 degrees. Currently, the track temperature is 39 degrees. It is an absolute belting hot day here at Paul Ricard. The sun is beaming down, and this is going to really hurt these tyres.
Yeah, definitely so. I'm chilling here in my SimPlay bikini. Again, a lovely tan on here. What's wrong? I mean, if you want,
we haven't brought that out. We haven't brought that out since Long Beach Project Cars 2 days being in California. My days. Yeah.
I mean, if you want the bikini, then head over to SimPlay Motorsport and Design Manchester.
Mike, new product for you.
A mankini as well. Just send me the bikini and the mankini because this one's a bit small. But again, a lovely tan. A bit breezy out here on track, but it definitely is a scorcher. 31 air temperature and 39 track, as it might get hotter later on this evening. But it's definitely a scorcher, and I'm really looking to see how these tyres survive around a circuit like this. The first half of the circuit they should survive, and especially the long back straight, but it's sector 3 is where we're going to see the tyres absolutely die. But we shall see how these guys get on.
Indeed we shall, and it is Max Mulder who currently leads that way by 1.5 points from Diesel. Richie Michelle is currently P3, 42 points behind with John Gooday in 4th. S. Tremble Rebex is P5 with Tim Venting up in 6th place. Sam is P7 with B. Craig in 8th. Justin Winter is P9 from Fat Bloke in that 10th spot. Now Fat Bloke may miss a few races this season due to work commitments, so we hopefully will see him back on the grid later on in the season. Robert Smith is currently P11. P. Williams is P12. Mirko Ritchie 13th. Kieran Argent up to 14th place with F. Gomez. Navalati F. Gomez 15th. Dean 16th. Diego Flores 17th. Cranky Duckheads P18 with Bruno Diaz in 19th spot. Darren Bell P20. Mark Tucker P21. Micro J is 22nd. DJ Phil is 23rd from Graham 24th. Hansen is 25th from Senna 26th. John Andrews from Dean Wisocki. Michael Bjark Lund, Andrew Taylor, the Jackal, Nuke Quace, Oliver, MB Pitts and Romeo. The Constructors' Championship looks a little like this. 80.5 points for BSP Racing. They lead over Greasy Bandits. Great week for BSP last time out at Indianapolis. Richie Corsa P3 from Stage 2 Motorsport 4th. Team FBR are P5 with Team Merlo P6, FSO Junior Racing Team P7, then it's Forever Forward Independence ARP8, Greasy Bandits Racing Junior P9, and Vorta Racing P10. Dan, that's the current championship standings. The drivers who are most successful around this circuit, De Silva, 3 poles, 3 wins. We haven't had De Silva here in a while, and yes, 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 yes. You may get that a lot tonight. You may get that a lot tonight. I apologise in advance. I apologise. Yes.
Well, Tim Venting's gone fastest overall. That's what he's so happy about. The Netherlands lead the way 1-2 with Max Mulder and Tim Venting at the top there. And like I said, they're both into the 55s, and I've seen actually Team Venting do a 54. I'm here supporting the English boys. We can do it. We can win this race. No problem about that. But Matt, what seems to get you so riled up? I mean, the racing
the fact
is
that
looking fascinating.
the fact that Tim Venting's in a 55.3, it was just an outstanding.
Are you sure?
My favourite numbers are 55. It's 55.355. So there we go. De Silva 3 poles, 3 wins. Sutty Apex 1 pole, 2 wins. Shane 1 and 1. Holty 1 win to his name. Fury 1 win to his name. Emo Guys 1 and 1. Ginger Bush no poles, 1 win. Then we got Daz Sekulovic, NTS Ableside, and only Dan with 1 pole here. Now, little fun fact: back at season 1 of ACC, Dan, pole record. Not a favourite place of yours to be, is it?
I think it's the only track I've ever retired on.
Yeah, I believe so.
Yeah. Lamborghini didn't do too well then. Yeah, it didn't do particularly well. Yeah. Let's move it on.
Probably probably going back to it, probably one of your best retirements, because the week after then at Nürburgring, you came from the back of the grid and won the race.
I've always been quite confident at Nürburgring, so I wasn't too sure about this. But here, I just could not get the Lamborghini to work. And funny enough, it was the fast right-hander at the end of the back straight that was really hurting the Lambo. Luckily here, the evolved form is a lot better. So we'll survive. And luckily, my teammate's not here this week, so I won't have to worry about him getting in my way.
Yeah.
But we'll see how this week goes. But yeah, it's the only circuit I can think off the top of my head that I've actually ever retired at, and it just shows how it's a frustrating circuit nonetheless, isn't it? It's the stupid thing is obviously the colouring. Like, what on earth were they thinking about painting it? If they were going to paint it, just paint it green, because then we know it's grass. But the track limits here are just horrendous. Track limits, and you've got to try and figure out what you want to set your car up for. Do you want to set it up for downforce, or do you want to set it up for a straight line advantage? You know, sector 1, slow, technical sector, you don't really need that much downforce in that sector. Then the long straight, you want to get rid of as much wing as possible, and then into the final sector is where you need that downforce back again. It's a bit like COTA, where each sector is completely different, and it really does ebb and flow, the circuit, and you've got to set up for what you think is best for your driving style. And at the minute, if it was me, I would be looking at making sure that the downforce is on, so you can survive that final sector.
Indeed, and it's all about really that final sector, isn't it, and that first sector to get through, as we just see Michael go very wide. And like Dan said there, why are they painted stupid colours? And it really was a talking point as well, Dan, in the Formula 1, wasn't it? What is with all this now? The blue stuff and the red lines that you see off the track as we're on board with DJ Phil, they are basically like sandpaper. The blue is not as rough sandpaper as the red, but they will still hurt your tyres by going over them even more. That's kind of what they was thinking with it, which, yeah, okay, I understand it forces drivers to not go wide, not go on it. It is going to ruin your tyres. But at the same point, you know, what's wrong with a good old-fashioned gravel trap? You know, you want to catch your drivers out with making a mistake, let's do it. I saw a picture today of Monza getting ready for the Formula 1.
I was just about to see the same thing.
At the first chicane, they've added now a gravel trap at the first chicane on the inside of what is effectively turn 2. They've also widened it a little bit. Well, we're seeing tracks do this, Dan, now. We saw Silverstone had a couple of gravel traps, just a strip at like the Exeter Stowe. We saw it with the Red Bull Ring. Paul Ricard went for this kind of take on it, and it didn't really work.
No, not really, but it is what it is. I mean, I guess it saves cars getting damaged in grass and gravel, I guess, but there's plenty of walls around to still hit and clobber. But I mean, I still, you'll probably agree with me. Like, there's only really been 2 French circuits that I can think off the top of my head that are actually genuinely good. Now, obviously, one in my mind is a bit OTT, and I really wish ACC would introduce this circuit because it would work really well, which is Le Mans. Obviously, Le Mans would be awesome on ACC. We've got the stupid Nordschleife. We might as well have Le Mans on here as well. You know, GTs race here at Le Mans. Might as well just run Le Mans at this circuit. Makes sense. And the only other one I can think of that has really been decent is Manicourt. But other than that, there's no real French circuit. Paul Ricard is just not... It's just... I don't know what it is. They've tried to update it from the olden days, and it's just not worked.
Ian Grace just said in the chat he presumed it was because of the red, white and blue, because it was French. I don't know if that's why they painted it red and blue. Possibly is, but that is what it does, Ian, is it is like sandpaper if you drive over it. Either way, yeah, I agree with you. Le Mans, a fantastic circuit. The Bugatti circuit, it's built for bikes, not for GTs. Let's not go there. We used to have that, obviously, in the Project Cars 2 days. But you're right, Manicourt, an absolute fantastic circuit. It was great when we used to race there in the Grand Prix. It was brilliant now. There was rumours the other year of Manicourt coming to ACC because the GT2s race there. Sadly, we didn't get it. We got the Red Bull Ring instead, which is a shame, but hey, let's see what happens in the future. Good evening to Richard Beasley in the chat. 20 drivers currently in the lobby. There will be 19 to take on this first race because of the fact Mirko Ricci has himself a race 1 ban and a qualifying ban. So he will have to go from the back of the grid as well as not be in race 1. We are expecting Kieran Argent and the Jackal. I believe there should be 23 cars for race 1, 22 cars for race 1. So we're expecting a couple of other drivers to pop in and get themselves in the server. Either way, it's going to be an interesting one. Here is DJ Phil, who's down in 20th place, yet set a lap time. The other thing, Dan, is as well as, where was we last week, the other week, Kota for track limits. This is another track where you run that little bit wide, you're going to pick up a track limit warning and violation, and really going to hurt yourself going into the race and the qualifying.
Oh, definitely. So qualifying is going to be key. Most of the guys will be pushing the limits, and you'll find, I don't know if you're on board, I'm on board with Justin Winter, and he's probably going to be the best example. He's coming up to the fast right-hander as we speak, and as he comes up there, there's a couple of like small little bollards that are on the exit of the corner. As you can see there, one in red and white stripe. As he runs wide, there's a couple there on exit. If you touch those, you can go all the way out that wide, but if you touch one of them, your lap time is going to be invalid, and people will want to push the limits as much as possible. But race and in qualifying, it's going to be difficult, and luckily for them, the pit lane isn't too long, but that's the other thing we've got to talk about, is pit lane entry.
Yes, it is. Pit lane entry and exit. Now, as the rules and regulations stipulate, the pit lane entry is decided by the start of the white line. So if you are caught on the stream, this is not caught by Dan who's watching on other cameras or anything else, you've got to be caught on stream or posted by another driver as to cutting that white line, you will be penalised. Now, obviously the driver behind has to be aware that if you are going into the pits, he can't just go up that side of you and spin you around into the wall. That'll obviously be looked at and penalised as well. But also pit exit's an interesting one, Dan. We saw the other year, I do believe, in, I think it was maybe Pro-Am. Me and you was on comms. We saw somebody exiting the pit lane and one of the race leaders hit him in the rear and caused him some major damage that led to, I think it might have been Daz Automatic was the driver involved, who was doing quite well. One of his first races got hit up the rear and had major damage because the pit exit comes out on the racing line into turn 1.
Yeah, I mean, obviously for qualifying, the guys who are exiting the pit lane will have to be aware of cars coming onto circuits, so they might have to wait in pit lane until it's clear. It's quite easy to see. But yeah, as drivers are racing, they got to be aware of cars exiting pits, and they're going to have to give that leeway. Obviously, cars exiting pits will have to make sure that they stay within that white line. If not, then obviously, you know, they're going to cause themselves more issues. Yes, it's going to be eager for them to defend, but that's the nature of the pit lane and exit. But this should be an interesting one for sure, and we'll obviously keep our eyes on this as well and keep you up to date with what's happening with pit lane entries and lines. But nonetheless, it's going to be an interesting sprint race ahead of us. Hot conditions, and a McLaren on the front row once again, but this time with a Nissan.
Yeah, with the Nissan. So it is Björk Lund who is on the front row of the grid. Romeo hasn't managed to make this evening's race, which Björk Lund who will be going from pole position, as it should be the Jackal, but the Jackal then is not here. Then it is Michael from John Andrews. With Senna from Dennis. Then it is DJ Phil from Mark Tucker. Darren Bell from Bruno Diaz. Naval RT Gomez is then next. For some reason, where is Diego Flores? Put Diego Flores down in 15th place, so I'm not quite sure why. Diego Flores should be ahead of F. Gomez. That might be my mistake. I'll have to double check now. I'm just going to go through and make sure that everything there was correct. If not, I will apologise to Diego, and that would be my fault for entering the wrong number on his name.
10 kilos of ballast if you've got it wrong for GT4s.
I might have after week 1.
Well, they might be doing a returning champion.
No, Diego Flores is in the correct position. He is in the correct position, so not sure what's happened. That's because a few drivers haven't made race 1, so it's probably glitched and demoted him a little bit. So it is then Naval Gomez from Robert Smith, from Justin Winter, Brian Craig, Sam, Diego Flores, Dizzle, John Gooday, Tim Venting, Max Mulder and Richie Michelle. Mirko Richie has to remain in the pit lane for the entirety of the race, and I believe Dan has just put a poll up on the chat of who is going to win. Björk Lund, Michael Senna or other. Put in the comments, please, who you think will win if you select other.
Who or what?
Who will? Yeah, exactly.
Who win what?
Exactly.
Oh God, brilliant. But yeah, guys, please put in your comments in the chat who you think is going to win this one. Let's go FSO Juniors saying Fleming. I'm guessing that's
Flem. That's Flem Speed 1.
That's Flem. Yep, I'm assuming that was Flem, and supporting his junior drivers, which is nice to see. Maybe next year I might go independent and start a junior program. You know, like a Red Bull program. But while you're at it as well,
why'd you have to say them?
Oh, you know. Sorry, let me rephrase that. Mercedes Junior Program, how about that? You know, 8-time champion and all. Oh, sorry, wait, Lewis is only 7.
Debatable.
It is debatable. Put it in the chat who you think, you know, is it 7 or is it 8? But while you are in the chat and you are on the Facebook, on the SimPlay Facebook, YouTube channel, blah, 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 go and hit that like button. Hit the bell to be notified so you don't miss any of the action here at SimPlay Motorsport. And obviously, while you're there, scroll down into the description. You can see our fantastic sponsors of Audio Sport and Design Manchester. Audio Sport manufacturers of Volkswagen Transporter, T4 audio solutions and styling products. Head over to www.audiosport.co.uk. And also there is Design Manchester, producers of vinyl graphics, laser engraved gifts, mugs, printed clothing and much more, including SimPlay merch, including the bikini. So make sure you head over there onto his Facebook page and give him a follow. Also head over to our Instagram page, head over to our Twitter page. Twitter, I'm not really doing much of it,
we've not done Twitter.
I've not done Twitter in a while, so work in progress. But head over to Instagram so you can keep up to date with what's going on. And obviously the Endurance Championship is returning this week on Saturday. You might see myself and Matt on track, who knows. Yeah, we'll see how all that pans out as well. And if you do want to be a part of the action here, GT4s do start very soon. So while you're at it, head over to the Sim Grid, head over to our Discord, get yourself signed up, because GT4s is going to be a right crack. 20-minute races, only 2 of them. One of them is going to be reverse grid, and also after round 1 it is going to be ballast put on the leading drivers. So it is really going to be interesting, and it follows the season of the cars as a championship as well. I think I've got most of all that out now, but yeah.
And just to clarify what Dan was saying there, the ballast, for anybody wondering what the ballast system is, it is weight added on, championship order, so for the whole week the championship leaders will carry that, and it is the top 8, I do believe, 40, 35, 30, 25, 20, 15, 10 and 5 kilograms worth of ballast will be added to the top 8 each week for the championship order. So we go Laguna Seca, I believe, is week 1, then it's Hungaroring would be the first week with ballast and reverse grid. That could make the racing some interesting stuff to keep our eyes on as we go through. Good evening to Fury's granddad in the chat, as well as they exit the final corner now, and Bjarke Lund is going to lead them away on pole position for the start of this race here. And who is going to come out on top as we are going green and going? It's a drive-through penalty. It's not going to be Bjarke Lund and it's not going to be John Andrews. Drive-throughs for both are out of position at the race start. That is a catastrophic end to their races already in this short sprint format. And here comes Bjarke up the inside. John Andrews looking to make a move on Michael. Gets a good lunge up the inside. Now as Michael coming back at him, they just tap each other. There's Senna as John Andrews now goes round. Oh, and collects unmistaken identity of Bruno Diaz. There's also chaos in the background, but it's Bjarke Lund who leads from Michael, who nearly drives into the back of him. And now Senna's having a look around the outside. Dan, it's been a bit of chaos at the start already.
There's been multiple cars off and cars struggling to grip up, and obviously the hot conditions are probably going to be struggling as a lot of cars went off. And also I forgot to mention as well, John Goudet and Jamal Clouden will be running a special livery this week to obviously pay respect to the people affected in the hurricane, I believe.
Yeah, the hurricane over St. Vincent, I believe it is, or the Caribbean islands, let me just say, because I can't remember the two exactly, over what has happened.
Michael's regained second place over Senna, so now it is Lunda leading away from Michael, from Senna.
Mark
from
Tucker's returned to the pit lane. Just noticed on here, he's returned to the pit lanes. That could be huge damage for Mark Tucker, but this had great straight line speed. Senna's now going to come back at him up the inside, is he? Not always the best line to take through this corner, but Bjarke, what has happened to him? He's just all of a sudden gone slow. He's tumbled down behind Michael as well, and in fact now he looks like he's coming under pressure from Dennis Hansen. So Bjarke Lund, did he have a mistake coming through the left-hander on rejoin? DJ Phil has been pushed a little wide there by Tim Venting, who's got himself up past Robert Smith, and Justin Winter is ahead of DJ Phil now because of that as well. Max Mulder's on the back of Robert Smith. Brian Craig's dropped down the order. He's got Dizzle trying to fight with him at the moment. They're having a little scrap so far. And then further down the pack, you've got Darren Bell with a little damage to his name. Who's then is, look, Richie Michelle looks badly damaged. Sam looks okay. The Mustang looks like it's not going great at the moment. Drive-through, oh, the Mustang's got some heavy damage. So does Bruno Diaz, it looks like. A drive-through for John Andrews, he's got damage as well. Mark Tucker can't see his damage, but it's Senna who leads over the line, who's got Michael now coming back up the inside of him at turn one. And damn, this Nissan looks nimble in a straight line at the moment and seems to have that straight line advantage over the McLaren.
Yeah, it does.
Dan's about to sneeze, so while we're going to let Dan sneeze, we've got Senna now being attacked around the outside from Dennis Hansen. And Dennis can't get through there. No driver did their drive-through penalty on the last lap. In fact, I believe John Andrews has come in for it. Gomez and Bruno Diaz into the pits, and they've come in just as the pit windows open, so that could be really beneficial for them guys. It's a long lap around here, especially if you do have a few moments, but it is Michael from Senna, from Dennis Hansen, from Bjarke Lund. Tim Venting's on the back of him. Will Tim look to make a move now on the back straight? Ferrari might have the legs over the McLaren in a straight line. It's going to pull out now. This is where the Porsche is going to massively lose out of Justin Winter behind. But here comes Tim Venting looking up the inside then of that of Bjarke Lund, who's got a drive-through penalty to do. And Tim is already past. What about Senna then? As Senna's got the fastest lap of the race. They've just knocked down one of the bollards. That could be a track limit warning. Senna and Dennis just bouncing off each other a little bit. And now Dennis gets through as John Andrews clears his drive-through.
He does indeed. Michael's looking solid in that Nissan. That straight line advantage is really helping him out and stay away from the McLarens. But it's the Ferrari of Tim Venting I'll be worried about right now. Obviously, Lundo carrying that penalty on top of him. But John Goudet's had a very decent start. He's up into 7th place, working his way through the order ahead of his championship rivals, Max Mulder and Dizzle, who have gone with him, though. But already we see one of the McLarens going wide. I think that's Dennis Hansen. He's now gone very, very wide. And it's allowed Tim Venting to go around the outside of him at the final corner and gets the job done. Tim Venting moving his way through the pack. And next is his good friend Senna. Can he clear him and try and go for Michael? But here comes Dennis Hansen. He's coming back though for another attack into turn one. He's going to be quite alongside to get that job done.
Good evening to Peter Stepdad. Bjarke Lund in for that drive-through penalty, and it is going to be hard work for him to get that done. John Goudet then is coming under pressure now from Max Mulder, who sets the fastest lap of the race. And for Max Mulder at the moment, can he get ahead of John Goudet? It's John's chance to really try and close some points back on this championship battle, but he's got to keep Max Mulder behind him. The Aston Martin versus the McLaren. Dizzle's 1.7 behind as Björk Lund clears that drive-through penalty. We've got Diego Flores just ahead of Darren Bell here. Darren going to look around the outside into turn 4, I do believe, turn 5, and that is job done for him. Sam's now going to think of maybe nicking a place up the inside before the back straight, just as the sector time they cross. And is he still side by side? He is. He's now ahead of Diego Flores. Sam gains another place there. And at one car that obviously Gomez got involved in a few incidents, but what can the Ford do in a straight line if the Nissan's this good currently so far in a straight? What can the Ford do? As Senna and Tim Venting are side by side. I believe Tim's got the move done before the straight. He has. Max Mulder's now looking for the same opportunity on John Gooday coming up into the right-hander. Have they touched? Because John Gooday's slow. And what happened there, I'm not sure, but John Gooday very slow. Now Dizzle swoops out from the back of him, and Dizzle's going to look up the inside. And that's John down 2 places.
Tim Venting's already got past Senna, which was fairly easy for him. He's now hunting down Michael, and Michael's obviously going to be struggling in this part of the track. But right now, that Nissan is doing everything that it needs to do, which is out-drag the Ferrari. But I think it's going to be not a matter of if, more like when, is Tim Venting going to catch him and pass him. But they come down the main straight now, and they've all got to be cautious of that pit exit. Max Mulder has got fastest lap, and Dizzle has now got past John Gooday. So moves and overtakes happening everywhere. Sam was one of them who got caught up in the first couple of lap chaos that happened earlier on.
He was indeed. Robert Smith, first man into the pits. He's got a bit of damage to the front of his car. Bruno Diaz, the only guy to complete his pit stop. So Mark Tucker, who returned to the pits. Gomez must not have finished his pits. Must have come into the pits a little too early or didn't complete the required pit stop. He's got to go again. And at the minute, this is a case of Naval Gomez trying to get onto the back of John Andrews, who they are both a lap down, is what it's saying here. Björk Lund as well, just in front. But Robert Smith into pit lane. Sam trying to stay on the back of Darren Bell. We've also got John Gooday, who's trying to come back at Dizzle here. Max Mulder's also looking on the back of Justin Winter now. Max in that McLaren should have the up advantage over that Porsche then, because the Porsche is not strong in a straight line.
No, Porsche really struggles in the middle sector, but it will gain massively in the tight, twisty section. You can see Max Mulder just out dragging that Porsche. Look at it, just no straight line advantage. Obviously, we could not introduce the BOP system. Once we do introduce the BOP, the Porsche should be a lot better, but there's just no answer for Justin there. He's lost out to the McLaren, and Max Mulder moves on through. Meanwhile, Dizzle is attacking John Gooday behind.
Well, 3 moves happened at that corner. Senna got ahead of Dennis. Max got ahead of so Tim Venting's got ahead of Michael, Senna got ahead of Dennis, Max got ahead of Justin Winter, and John Gooday got ahead of Dizzle. So 4 changes in places that lap. Sam still behind Dennis, but with Tim Venting now fastest lap, he's ahead of Michael. And the Nissan's really going to struggle on this part of the circuit, Dan, isn't it? But it's
Tim's had a snap.
It's about them tight he has, and that's allowed Michael right onto the back of him. And can Michael just try and swoop underneath? No, he can't. And Michael is going to come into the pits. Oh, that looks a pit cut.
It does look like a pit cut, and he comes into pit lane. And if I was me, I would have gone for the attack. I would have used the Nissan advantage and try and sneak up the inside, but obviously not. He's chosen to pit. And obviously now Max Mulder behind once again his good friend Senna. Obviously these 3 good friends, the top 3 at the minute, and we'll see if Senna make Max's life easy or hell. But we'll see as they come down into the tight, twisty section. But he's got to be cautious, though, because Justin Winter is right there. Dennis Hansen coming in early as well.
Justin Winter fighting, obviously, Max and Tim Venting for that Constructors' Championship as well. So that's where it's got to be careful as well. It's not just the drivers, but the constructors as well. Senna a little wider than Max. Max has a wobble, and Senna manages to come back in. So was that him letting Max through? Not sure, but either way, Senna down to 3rd, Max up to 2nd, and now Senna can try and back the pack up a little bit, maybe. It's Justin Winter in that slipstream of the McLaren. In fact, he's got the confidence in the straight line speed of the Porsche to pull out on Senna, and he is now getting side by side with that McLaren. So as that McLaren's got a bit more downforce on the straights over the Porsche on its setup, obviously we know the Porsche likes that bit of top speed, and Justin Winter is through as they hit the brakes going in towards the right-hand bend, and that is a stop-go penalty for Dennis Hansen. That is his race 1 up the order, ruined by speeding in the pit lane.
It is indeed, and he is done. He won't be able to really do anything with that. Senna has really struggled through that swooping right-hander, and Winter has managed to pull the gap. If anything, he's sticking to the back of Max Mulder, but once again, it is a BSP 1-2. But Justin Winter's there just in case any incidents happen, but I think this is where the tyre situation will start to kick in. They're going to struggle with tyres, it's overheating, and yeah, we'll see how these guys get on. As we now get to the halfway stage, I will now end the poll for who you think is going to win this race.
Yeah, we're currently watching Sam versus Darren Bell. Good little battle that's been happening for a while.
We are at the halfway mark, still a long way to go.
As they're coming down, Sam enters the pit lane. He's gone through the pit lane correctly there, so that's great to see. But the leaders carry on the way. It's Tim from Max, from Justin Winter, Senna, Dizzle, Brian Craig, Richie Michelle, Darren Bell, Sam all into the pits. Diego Flores is going to carry on his way. And DJ Phil enters the pit lane. Oh, DJ Phil's got a bit of damage on his car. Jacques Lund has come into the pit lane, as well as Naval Gomez. He's still out there on track. And Mark Tucker going at the minute. John Goody behind Robert Smith. Was Robert? I think Robert Smith was behind him on track before pit stops. Can't really remember, but he came out on the back of him.
I think Robert Smith is one of the earlier pitters. I think he came in really early. I think when the pit window opened, he was in straight away. So if anything, he's there or thereabouts. But as you can see, as the cars come towards the exit of pit lane, Dizzle and Senna are now on their way out. Meanwhile, Tim Ventink is maintain the gap of 2 seconds. Justin Winters lost time to Max Mulder, but Senna comes back out, and nowhere to be seen is Robert Smith. He now clears Dizzle, and John Goudet attacks Dizzle straight away. Obviously Dizzle got cold tyres, but John Goudet has probably compromised himself, run a little bit wide, and they're side by side heading towards the first sector, and he's going to have to yield and allow Dizzle through, and Dizzle up another position.
He is up another position as well. So there is Dizzle ahead then of John Goody. Robert Smith able to pull that gap just a little bit. And as we go towards John Goody, that is the closest battle. Where's Sam? He's come out just behind Brian Craig. Sam was fighting that of Darren Bell, so he's actually cleared Darren Bell by quite a bit in the pits. So not the pit stop Darren Bell would have wanted.
I think Justin Winter may be getting a penalty for speeding in the pit lane. He came in quite hot, and he really pushing it. Max has brought the gap down by half a second, and Dizzle meanwhile is having another scrap with John Goudet. He's on the inside heading up to the fast right-hander, and up the inside comes John Goudet, and he should be able to have the position. But
he should be able to have the position. He's still on the outside. He didn't run the track limits neither. This is great driving from both these drivers here. Absolutely fantastic at the moment. And John Goudet has managed to hold on to that position.
Justin Winter Wednesday is going to get dropped because Michael is now coming into the final sector. He's now being dropped, and it's when he's going to be released. That is the question. Michael has been able to keep the gap between Senna, so it should be quite interesting to see where Tim and Max will come out of all this. But Michael down the main straight. Justin Winter has now come off the limiter, and Michael is just going to snatch him, I think, just because of the top speed of the Nissan.
Oh, close.
Into turn one, he's going to send it into turn one. And Justin Winter had to give him racing room, and he's really loose on the rear. And the Nissan not quite able to get the Porsche, but watch him go down the main straight later on, because I think that Nissan should outdrag the Porsche. But he's going to try it anyway earlier on.
He is going to try it earlier on, and Justin Winter staying out longer than Michael clearly has worked. So maybe a bit of things to note for race 2, that the undercut maybe not as strong as other circuits around here. Senna's not far off the back from, neither's Robert Smith. Just going to drop down towards John Goody, who's got himself ahead of Dizzle, noting out there on the circuit now. And Sam's got past Brian Craig as well. But let's go back to that Nissan and see it closing on the Porsche down the back straight. It's got a good healthy 0.6 of a second as it entered the back straight. What is it going to be though by the time they get up towards the back end of the circuit? Because that Nissan, you could just see starting to close, starting to get closer and closer and closer, and being pulled in with that slipstream. Look how close it is now. He's going to surely pull out and look up the inside line. Hansen's in for his stop go penalty. And does Michael look up the inside? Does he break that a little bit early? Justin Winter keeps the corner. Michael backed out of that one. But just having that straight line speed down in the Nissan is absolutely crucial. Tim Ventink in the pits. So where will these two come out over Tim at the moment? These two at the back end of the circuit. Tim obviously stationary, as now is Diego Flores. The Jackal has got in the lobby, so he's a little late, but he's in. Mark Tucker still to pit, as is Naval Gomez.
The thing is, while these two have been too busy fighting against themselves, Tim Venting has been able to get into pits and do his stop. He's now coming to the end of the pit lane, while Justin Winter's only now coming into the final corner. So Tim Venting, with no pressure whatsoever, carries on through, and should be easy enough for Max Mulder, and hopefully the overcut might help Max. But once again, the Nissan is right behind the Porsche.
Yeah, the Nissan is right behind the Porsche down the start finish straight. Good evening to Mother Davis in the chat. And will the Nissan have a look into turn one? He pulls out and thinks about it, but he's not going to think too hard. As Tim Venting, like Dan says, carries on his way. He's got a good healthy gap over the cars behind him in the pit lane. Just going to drop down to Brian Craig, who's trying to close onto the back of Richie Michelle. Still with some front end damage for Richie Michelle here. Darren Bell is now on the rear of DJ Phil. DJ Phil's Lamborghini looking a little battered on the front as well, it has to be said. Just looking a little bruised on that front end. Not sure what DJ Phil's done. Gomez has got to really pit this lap, because he's not going to get to do another one, as Mark Tucker's now exiting the pit lane as well.
Or Justin Winter was a bit squirrely on exit coming down the main straight. This is going to allow the Nissan just to get a little bit closer, but it's half a second. But Senna is right there. He's also going to get the double toe. Obviously, Justin Winter breaking the wind, breaking the air, and cutting into it, allowing the cars behind to not have as much resistance, which is allowing the GTR to catch and gain and gain and gain. And it's now a much better opportunity for the Nissan up the inside. He's further alongside. Is he going to get the job done?
He's gone deep. Yeah, he's gone deep. He was a lot closer that time, but he goes very, very deep. Where has Senna gone? He's gone well wide. Michael then managing to keep hold of that place, and he's really tucked into the back of Justin Winter. Senna on the marbles, that's not good for him. He's going to have Robert Smith closing him down in a matter of moments as well.
Max is in the pits, and he's now exiting pit lane as Tim Venting is now coming into the final corner. This is going to be close between the two teammates.
Yeah, Tim's going to get up to speed greater than Max. Max not yet off the limit, and here comes Tim Venting. Tim, you know, still trying to maybe bring himself into his championship battle. Max off the pit limiter. Here comes Tim Venting then. His second and third exit round the final corner. Max has got him just. But let's go back to Justin Winter. Can he stay ahead of this Nissan? You just get a feeling it's the Porsche slowly starting to creep way through the corners if he can get them right. But that Nissan in the straight line being able to really compensate over the Porsche, and he brakes late and has a look, but it was just look. I didn't know if he was getting his braking wrong there.
Yeah, it looks like the BSP Racing boys may have to be changing category next season, because they're pretty much long gone into the distance. The lap times they were doing was definitely easily pro pace, and they've just disappeared into the distance. Meanwhile, the Porsche, probably not the strongest car around here, is holding up the Nissan. Another not really strong car around here, and it's the McLaren and the BMW of Robert and Senna who's stuck behind these two. And once again, a great exit from Michael. He's within half a second. All we need to do now is just nail this fast right-hander. Meanwhile, Tim Venting and Max are side by side.
So they're side by side going into the right-hander. Where's Tim gone?
Way off.
Tim is so wide. He's off to Le Mans, and that'll hurt the tyres. That will scrub them up a little bit more as Michael now is coming side by side with Justin Winter. He tucks back in this time, doesn't think of going for it this time around, and just manages to lose out a little bit of time there. Just looking at the Bob system, if he was to use it, the biggest advantage for cars here is that Lamborghini and that McLaren around this circuit. The Porsche would lose weight. That shows you where that is. The Ferrari would lose weight. So the Ferrari, not a great car around here, not a bad car. The BMW would gain small weight. The biggest loser is that Honda NSX. It'd really lose a lot of weight, 32 kilos it'd lose. Tomorrow night we'll get to the insert coin and see what he can do around this track tomorrow then. As the leader starts the final lap from race control, Robert Smith's now got within a second of Senna, and Bjork Lund is now on the back of DJ Phil. DJ Phil carrying some mega damage in this race. Just noticed that Naval Gomez missed his pit stop.
He did indeed. Now, what I would be doing if I was Michael is really try and get yourself set up through the first sector and just nail the first sector. Try and get as much time to him as back as possible. And as Michael Harris says, me, question mark? No, not in this one.
Yeah, wrong Michael.
Yeah, Max has gotten a little bit wide, but he's still got a comfortable gap over Tim. He just needs to nail this first sector. Once he's nailed that, and get a good exit. He's able then to put pressure on the Porsche and should be able to get the overlap, but I think the tyres have died on the Nissan. He's nowhere near Justin Winter, even though Justin Winter has his own little wiggle and gets himself together again. But yeah, Justin Winter trying to escape right now and looks like he's managing to do so. I think the threat from third has gone and Michael was basically going to have to settle for that position.
Yeah, I think the threat has been neutralised here tonight by Michael, as Max is coming under pressure from his teammate Tim Venting. Robert Smith also getting a little close to Senna. We've seen Senna a bit vulnerable down the back straight, but you have to say, really, Max Mulder has been the driver to beat so far in Pro-Am. He's starting to look really good in this championship. The best we've seen Max drive since the Project Cars 2 days. He has been fantastic. And at the moment, this is going the way he'd want it to. He's got a couple of corners left on until he takes the checkered flag. And this will be huge for Max Mulder.
Yeah, spectacular drive from him, very solid, and he's going to be taking another race win to his name, and with his teammate right behind him, so Constructors really in the bag at the minute.
It is, as Max Mulder comes to the line. He's going to finish P1 with his teammate Tim Venting P2. Max also looks like he's taking the fastest lap of the race. It is going to be Justin Winter who's just going to hang on in there for P3, because the line comes up pretty quick here. So Michael did get within a couple of tenths, but it is going to be P3 for Justin Winter. Michael will come home for 4th place with Senna 5th, Robert Smith 6th, John Gooday 7th, Dizzle is going to cross the line 8th, Sam P9 from Richie Michelle 10th, Brian Craig is P11 in this one as he crosses the line now. Darren Bell a little further back at the moment. What a racer, what an opener that was to tonight's proceedings.
Yeah, Michael and Justin Winter really putting on a fantastic show. Really enjoyed that one. As Aidan Bennett's in the chat, nice to see him in the chat. An old Project Cars driver. We'd love to see Aidan back, but I'm not sure if he is one with ACC. It's definitely a game that it takes a while to practice. Argent's figuring that out pretty quickly, but Gomez is going to have a hefty penalty, which is going to affect him for Bruno, maybe Dennis Hansen as well.
30 seconds, I believe it is, isn't it, the penalty? It's Diego Flores, Darren Bell, Bjork Lund all crossed the line. We're now waiting for Naval, Gomez, then Bruno Diaz, Hansen. John Andrews and Tucker have already finished their race. Here comes Gomez. Big penalty, like Dan says, coming his way. That'll be about 130 seconds. There you go to his name. So it's going to be an interesting one to see as he... just missed the pit stop. We saw him pit early, but then missed the chance to pit again. Not quite sure what happened there, but this could be a case of seeing what happens. Bruno Diaz to the line, and we're just now awaiting that of Dennis Hansen to come to the line to see where he will finish in this race. Apologies, my telly's just gone off and come on and decided to unmute itself. But that was the end of race 1. We'll be back in a few moments' time for race 2 and the qualifying. Stay where you are. to SimPlay Motorsport. Apologies for the slight delay in getting back to you on the qualifying front, but we are underway. Drivers are heading out towards their first timed lap here. We're currently on board with Dennis Hansen. We'll await the first grey number across the line, and when we see the grey, we'll be able to then give you the driver who's on a fast lap. Don't forget, Mirko Ricci has himself a qualifying ban for this one, so we'll not be able to take part in that qualifying session. But already, Dan, after a great first race, the championship looks like this. Max Mulder now extends his lead to 30.5 points, with John Gooday up to third place now. Tim Ventic moves into fourth, ahead of Richie Michelle and Justin Winter fifth and sixth. Esteban Burrebex is down to seventh, with Sam in eighth. Brian Craig is ninth from Robert Smith. Fat Bloke from Paul Williams. Mirko Ricci, Diego Flores, Naval Gomez from Darren Bell. Bruno Diaz, DJ Phil, Mark Tucker, Kieran Argent, Dean, Cranky Duckhead, Senna, Micro Jace, Hanson, Graham, Michael, John Andrews, Lund, Dean Wasocki, Andrew Taylor, the Jackal, Nuke Quaist, Oliver, MB Pitts and Romeo. In terms of Constructors' Championship then, it is BSP Racing now have 111.5 points over Greasy Bandits. Richie Corsa a third place from Team FBR, with Stage 2 Motorsport in fifth. Team Merlot sixth, with FSO Junior Racing Team P7. Vorta Racing now are the independent leader from Forever Forward and Greasy Bandit Junior. Now, I'm still only noticing one Ford Mustang out on the track, so Kieran Argent hasn't got with us yet. And DJ Phil and Michael yet to go out there and qualify. We saw Michael not qualify last time around. And the 333 looks like to be the first time to set a timed lap as it crosses the line momentarily. But it was a good first race, and it's going to be an interesting second one, that is for sure.
Definitely so. Please excuse my sniffling. I think I've caught a cold from my partner. Yeah, it's going to be an interesting race too. The feature-long race, what tyres can survive, and who's going to take pole position. That is down to you guys. Who you think is going to take pole, please put your vote in the chat. It's either going to be Max Mulder, Tim Ventink or Senna, the top three who I think are going to be the strongest here. But also, if you think it's going to be somebody else, which it could be, then put in the comments who you think it is going to be. Obviously, click other, but Matt had the shock of his life last season when he didn't think that I was going to take pole at Suzuka, so anything can happen.
Damn right.
Anything could happen. Yeah, that really shocked you, didn't it?
It did shock me, as at times... so it's doing this again. Times are coming on the board. We don't know who's setting them, but Dizzle is currently setting the pace. We will stay on board with Brian Craig till the end of the lap. But, yeah, what a fascinating race. Get your votes in on the poll as well for who you think is going to take that pole position around this Paul Ricard circuit. Before next week, we head back stateside for one of our favourites here at SimPlay Motorsport. Laguna Seca is the track we head to next week. We've seen it many a time here on the platform. It's going to be an interesting one to go back to. And then we return to Hungaroring, Dan. We've not been there for a couple of seasons now. And a track you would in a... Well, but let's be honest, both them tracks are on the calendar this year. Zandvoort and Hungaroring, you won races in the Retia. And they're back. It's great to see them tracks back because there's something a little different.
I think we have to bring the beast back, surely. Yeah, I mean, obviously the Zandvoort was in the wet, and I believe Hungaroring was in the dry, but circuits that you can't really overtake on, so they're exciting to see. But Laguna Seca next back to America, our second to last stop to the United States, until we go to Watkins Glen, which is going to be another awesome race to look forward to. And I'm looking forward to Laguna, but I don't agree personally that it's a classic of SimPlay. I think we've had it a couple of times and a favourite. I think it is
Snow Daytona.
Oh, if Daytona was here, you'd see it every single round. I think obviously the FBR boys say that, they say that Donington Park is their home circuit, but I mean, to be fair, we say it's ours. But I think if we were to pick a home circuit and it was on the calendar, we'd have to say Daytona again.
Oh, massively.
We love that circuit.
I think we only said about Donington Park because of the fact of the SimPlay Straight. After the Dunlop Bridge had gone, we called it the SimPlay Straight, not the Dunlop Straight, as car 23 is coming towards the last corner. But yeah, Daytona would be our home. Mark Tucker, that coming to the line. He goes P10 currently in qualifying. Let's go and pick up car 96. That'll be, I assume, the Ferrari. No, it's not. It is that of Sam who's coming to the line, but it's currently Robert Smith, your provisional pole man.
It is indeed. And this is the thing, this is where guys will be pushing the limits a little bit too hard, and Diesel's doing exactly what he needs to. 2 BMWs at the front, which is surprising to see, as the McLarens are now starting to get some pace underneath them, and the ones I really want to keep an eye on is actually Bruno in that Lamborghini. Although it's a little bit off the pace at the minute, like you said, the Lamborghini and what was the other one? The McLaren should be the 2 strongest round here, and Bruno at the minute currently sitting in 6th, and I do know I've done a couple of laps myself and I've been right on the pace of Max Mulder and Tim Venting, so the Lambo is good round here. You've just got to be a little bit finesse with it, and Mike Matthews agrees that he does miss Daytona. Was watching until you guys came back and responded, but I have ACC, I have plenty, but my countryside Wi-Fi and my new house is absolutely diabolical. Haven't been able to go online in 4 months. Jesus, Aiden, you need to sort that out. I'd be talking to my internet provider straight away. Oh wait, mine's not that much better. Yeah, mine's, at least it's not Jamie's.
You got your bedroom door open?
No.
Here comes Robert Smith towards the final corner. Now, it's like we said in free practice, it's vital round here that you do not invalidate any laps, because that will crucially hurt it. As well, Dan, 10 tyre sets you get to use in the entirety from free practice 1 to the end of race 2. What do you do in qualifying here? Do you go and pit and put another set on, as Robert Smith does improve and goes P2 and closes that down to 300ths of a second? I see that the 28's on the lap. That is Senna, with John Gooday just behind him. But what do you do here? How many sets of tyres do you look to use? It's a long lap, obviously, but yeah, 1 or 2 sets maybe if you've kept them through practice and not used too many in practice?
It all depends on how much you've burnt through in practice. If you've managed to save some, I would use possibly only 2 sets, have a real good go in the first attempt, and then go from there. But as you can see there, Senna within 0.008 of a second from Diesel, and then Robert Smith goes 31, 51, and Dennis Hansen is sent 44 tenths. This is tight, and we still haven't seen Max Mulder or Tim Venting actually put a lap time together yet, but Diesel exactly where he needs to be.
Michael and Mirko Ricci yet to go out on the circuit. We saw Michael didn't qualify last time out. Yeah, this is interesting. Diego Flores next set a lap time. Where is Max on the track? Number 3. He's on an invalid lap now. Tim Venting is on a valid lap. He's the next car on a valid one. Diego Flores to the line. Improves but doesn't change where he is. What about Tim Venting? So literally 0.5 tenth separate the top 4. What about Tim? What can Tim do here as he rounds the final corner, comes down towards the checkered, towards the start line, goes 4 tenths faster. That's the lap time we've been waiting to see.
And then Max goes.
Oh, Max was on a valid lap. Oh, there we go. The dot was blue, but he went even better. Why not?
55.1. We're getting close to that 54, and like I said, I've only seen Tim do 1:54, and he said it was the scrappiest lap he's ever done, but it was definitely a 54. And if you are in the Discord, you would probably see it on the page in the Discord chat, so you can see it's 54. But the 2 back and front, Diesel now has got a lot of work to do. But as long as he's there with them and try and get them on the start, then anything can still happen in this race. But tyres is going to be the one to keep an eye out for.
It is indeed. Another man without a lap time, though, Dan, is Justin Winter, yet to set a lap time on the board at the moment. So he's got work to do as well in terms of getting that lap time on the board.
Yeah, you caught me in mid-drink, so fantastic.
Apologies.
Man. Thank you.
Apologies. You're all right.
It's fine, I know. Just it's very hot here in Paul Ricard, and when you're in this lovely bikini, you know, you got to keep hydrated. Yeah. Also lotion. You don't want to get burned. We know what happens. We know what happens to you when you get sunburned. As Justin Winter now goes up into P10. Make sure, folks, that you're wearing your caps the right way. That's all I'm going to say. We turn our attention now to car number 7. That is Bjork Lund in the McLaren. Interesting decision. We saw Michael a few weeks ago not get out there for qualifying. He's doing the same thing here. I don't think that's going to work for him. I think that Nissan's got a bit, quite a decent amount of pace in his hands to do the right thing. Yeah, I do, but at the same time, I don't know what it is about some people who don't like to qualify. I guess they kind of see it as a confidence thing. Maybe they don't want to go out in the chaos. I've chosen the worst day possible to try and, you know, boost our numbers because, you know, some event is happening. I don't know what it is. Something in Germany.
It's 22 men kicking a bag of wind round that apparently the whole country cares about.
Oh, NFL. Okay, fair enough.
Yeah. I wish. That's more than 22 men. That's at least more entertaining. I don't get the hype. I'm not going to lie, Dan. We may as well chat about it a second. I don't get the hype. I'm a football fan, but, everybody seems to stop. Everybody seems to stop for it. And, we put the thing in the chat about do we postpone a week for the Euros, and your response was, and I agreed with your response, would we stop for the Olympics in a few weeks' time? The answer is probably no. No, no one's going to give a damn. Football, for me, is a strange one, But it is what it is.
It is a strange one, but we do have to discuss it. It is a massive thing, and most people around the world are into football. I think near enough every nation plays football. So, Gomez crosses the line, no improvement. There is a car behind him, though. I believe it is
DJ Phil.
It is DJ Phil, and he improves and goes up to 16th.
Didn't improve. Managed to get a lap time on the board. That's the.
There we go.
Yeah,
so he
more
does
important
improve.
thing. Richie Michel now the only driver with Michael to not get a lap time on the board. I don't think Michael's going to get a lap time in, so that is going to possibly hurt him in this race. We'll have to wait and see what happens shortly.
Dizzle, no improvement. Yeah. Justin Winter, I believe, is next. He's already gone through, sorry. So it was John Goudet. He goes to 8th. There's now another pink car in the background. I believe that is Max, possibly.
I've got the Jackal who's just crossed the line. He stays 14th.
It looked pink, but obviously it was orange. So, go me. Obviously, one thing I do want to discuss, and something that I want to get our predictions in now before it happens. Obviously, we do talk about the Olympics briefly, and I love the Olympics. I think it's one of the best events that's possibly goes around, and I think it's awesome. And I think we are an underrated nation when it comes to the Olympics, and I think this year we have a good chance. Tim Venting crosses the line. He does not improve on his lap time. Sam now crosses the line, and he still hasn't improved. Romeo has got in. Romeo, where art thou, Romeo? And he's now in. Bit of Shakespeare for you, ladies and gentlemen, there. And I did fail English, so I don't know if it's Romeo, Juliet, or Hamlet. I can't remember which is which.
Romeo and Juliet.
Yeah, no, it was a joke.
I'll let you off.
I'm dyslexic. I can't even spell my own name. I can't even spell it at the minute with my nose. But obviously, Matt, before the Olympics begin, I want to do a prediction here and now. Which nation do you think is going to be top in medals?
China.
You think China? Yeah. I think it's going to be the USA.
Yeah, it'd be one of them two. It'd be one of them two.
They're sending Sky Shundelmeyer, so we should be,
Who was it the other week? Now Rich Plavins, for the chat who remember N. Plave, thought he'd be quite clever the other week, and he tried to give me some stick. Obviously, being from Wales, he said, "You don't see Wales qualifying for the basketball, did you?" And I turned around and went, "Well, no. We compete as Great Britain." And I just had to kind of giggle for a moment, like Team GB may qualify for the basketball, which Wales are a part of with England and Scotland and Ireland, and he just couldn't understand why we competed as Great Britain and not just England. Qualifying has come to an end now. We've got the 93 towards the back end of the circuit. That is Richie Michel, who's managed to get himself up into P8 at the moment. Michael Harris saying that 22 drivers greater than 22 footballers. 100% agreed. Richie Michel stays in P8. The number 96, that is Sam. The Aston Martin's done well in Sam's hand. P6 at the moment. 8/10 off the pole. Needs 300ths of a second to go ahead of Robert Smith. Dizzle and Senna are done, as is Dennis Hansen. And Sam bails to the pit lane.
Tim Venting crosses the line 55 thousandths of a second. That's something for you to get excited about, man. I was surprised you didn't scream about that. 55.
Yes. Yeah, nothing really happened at the time, so couldn't really get happy about it. 53 is the next car on a valid lap time. The two in front say they are invalid, which is Max Mulder. This could give Max Mulder, by the way, that pole position and that extra point to the championship down, which would be absolutely huge.
It would be absolutely huge, and as DJ Phil comes to the end of his lap, it is now Robert Smith who's on a valid lap time, and he's coming now into the final sector. I don't know why I've left the pole on for so long. People could have cheated now, but it did go to Max Mulder. Unless Robert Smith is going to completely make me look like an idiot right now. Towards the line he comes. Thank God he didn't make me look like an idiot.
Lost out by 5 thousandths of a second to take P4 from Senna. So pretty close for him.
Yeah, and another, what, 25,000 it would have been for third place. So it was close between Dizzle and Sam, all the way down to Sam. Then it's pretty close again behind him. But Max did improve, actually, by the end. He went slightly quicker. So he was rubbing salt into the wound for his
the BSP
his
boys,
friend.
Dan. They are in some form at the moment, aren't they? They are the team to beat at the minute. Great Indianapolis last week. Great first race here. Great qualifying, locking out the front row. These two are the drivers that are the two to beat at the moment.
Oh, definitely so. They are the ones to beat. And I think if they were in pro at the minute, I think even the pro drivers would struggle with them. I mean, I know for sure that I would be worried about them, for sure. And I don't actually know what the other drivers have done. I know myself and Clouden are probably on similar pace, but other than that, I haven't seen anyone else do any lap times. I think Overtaker is probably a little bit slower than these boys, so they've really stepped up. And yeah, I really do think that these boys, if they keep the pace they're going and join back next season, they will be going into pro, whether they like it or not, and see their old pal Sky Schondelmeyer. And yeah, we'll see what they do in the big league, because obviously one lap pace is one thing, but racing's another. You know that for sure, Matt. Even
100%.
though the stats may say, oh, you know, pole position's important, so on and so forth, but it's all about the race, really. That's where the points are rewarded. Yes, you gain an extra point for pole position, but the points are all where it's at. Yeah, so get your votes in on feature race winners: Max Mulder, Tim Venting, Dizzle, or other. Obviously, because all three of them could come together, and you know, Senna could take the win for, you know, or Robert Smith, Sam,
DJ.
Dennis, all these guys. DJ Phil.
Why did you say DJ Phil has missed the start? Is he in the pit lane? Yeah, he is. DJ Phil's missed the start of this race, then. So he will not take to the start. We did get Kieran Argentin. Max Mulder winning that first race. That is 77 race wins now for the McLaren. And it is also 77 pole positions for the McLaren. There we go. So Max Mulder currently the man to beat in this championship at the moment. We still have, this is crazy, we still got, with 6 rounds left, still 678 points to play with as from next week. So still a lot of points left up for grabs so far. And yeah, it's going to be absolutely huge to see who can do what here tonight.
Definitely so, and a reminder as well, as I looked to the chat and was actually thinking of Tim Venting for a split second. I might need to message him later, but it all depends on the internet. But a reminder as well, the endurance race is this week. Saturday is the 3 hours, is it?
Yeah,
of Imola?
3 hours of Imola, yeah.
3 hours of Imola, so if you don't want to watch the Euro final, which I believe is on
that's
Saturday.
on Sunday.
That's on Sunday. If you want to get yourself ready for the Euro final, then go for it. Then head over to SimPlay Motorsport. We'll be live bringing you the action at Imola for the next race of the season of the Endurance Championship, and next week as well. I'm so looking forward to commentating it. I'm so looking forward to seeing them. Please, guys, sign up. It is the GT4s making a return, and will the BMW stay champion? With its old champion rumoured to come back, Fury may be returning to the GT4s, all depending on internet and due to a rig situation, but we would love to see Fury back on the grid. But please, guys, sign up to the GT4s. I urge you. This is going to be an awesome championship, and I am buzzing to commentate on it. Gutted that I won't be racing it, but obviously due to Matt pulling out of GT3s, I thought it was only fair for me to pull out of the GT4 so he can race. Matt, I'll send you all the Chevy setups when I get the chance. I wouldn't pick the Chevy though. But yeah, please sign up to that. That's going to be awesome. And then we'll make a return for the GT3s once again as they head up to Laguna Seca for the next round of the season. And a circuit that Mike Matthews tends to like quite a lot. And luckily he is back for that one. And yeah, probably going to be another scorcher of a round out in the, I believe it's
Californian desert. Yep, you are absolutely correct there. Laguna Seca next week for Pro. And
who's the most successful at Laguna?
You and Ripper. I had a look a moment ago. You and Ripper, exactly identical. 2 poles, 4 wins.
Nice. I probably did it on the Project Cars layout as well.
Probably so, yeah, do believe so. A lot of people on there, though. Argent, Dean, Andy, X-Mart, Louis Allen, Daz Automatic, De Hoffner, Overtaker, Keegs, Smoky Devil, Ginger Bush, Disco McDisco Face,
I miss
KLF,
Project Cars.
Shane, myself, Plava, Big Boy Brazier, Fury, BT, Ripper, and yourself.
I miss project cars.
I missed its variety of tracks and cars.
Nah, LMP2. Oh, chef's kiss. They were beautiful. Love them. Unless you got AI GTEs, then they're the worst thing in the world.
Yeah, that was funny.
We've had some iconic moments in project cars. None, no doubt about it. I've loved project cars, and I do think it's still better than this game. I do think the physics on this is a lot better, but regarding the broadcasting and just general selection, it is pretty poor compared to project cars. But this is the new era, and we're here in ACC, and this is SimPlay now.
It is indeed. As we come towards the line, then it's the halfway stage of the season after today's race. It is round 12 of the season here at Paul Ricard, and it is race 2. Max Mulder on pole from his teammate Tim Venting. Championship rival Dizzle in the background. Other rival John Gooday down in 9th. And we are, for the 12th time this season, green and go here in France. And it's a great getaway from Max Mulder. Drive-through penalty for Sam. That'll be out of position at the start. DJ Phil will be able to get away momentarily as well, but they all funnel down towards turn 1. Senna's on the outside. Dizzle's on the inside of Tim Venting. Neither can get past, and Tim manages to hold on for P2 at the moment. Just a little down the order. Sam's got a gaggle of cars behind him. That is Dennis and that of Justin Winter, who's had a demon start from 10th already up the order a little bit here. He's had an absolutely fantastic start, flying up, and is now looking to put some pressure on that of Senna as they come through. In fact, no, sorry, that's not Senna. Senna's dropped down the order, so I'm not sure who that is. He's dropped right down the order. It's Dizzle, Richie, Michelle, Dennis Hansen it is, sorry, not Senna.
Relatively clean, except for Darren Bell, who's facing the wrong way, and Bruno's involved in that. Michael's going through the... I still don't understand why Michael didn't qualify. He's better off just going out and getting a lap time, at least putting halfway up the grid. But already the PSB Racing boys are... I said that the wrong way around. BSP Racing boys are pulling away as Sam is now racing...
Sam's defending from John Gooday, and Justin Winter's going up the inside of Dennis Hansen. He has. He's got that Porsche hooked up down the straight line where we said it's going to lose out time. It's not. That is Tim Venting. I've just noticed in the background of Justin Winter. He's had a mistake.
Max is wide.
And Max has gone wide. Where's he? Can we see any damage? I don't think I can. No, so I don't know if they've made contact. But either way, Justin Winter made a great move up the order as well. Brian Craig stuck on the back of Mirko Ricci. He's had a good start as Mirko Ricci from the back of the pipe. Jacques Lund, Senna, is down in 15th place. And it's Romeo on his debut in the Porsche 992. Great to see another Porsche out there on track. John Andrews going side by side with Adam Michael. And like you say, Michael now is going to find himself in the thick of things over all these drivers that he maybe shouldn't be racing.
Maybe, as I'm just scrolling back to see what had happened to Max and Tim. Tim was in the slipstream as he comes up towards the right-hander, and he has a massive slide all on his own, so he dropped it and gone full 360. Dizzle managed to avoid, and then Max just went out wide onto the marbles all on his own, the rear being extremely loose, and that is definitely going to be a track limits warning for Max Mulder.
Yeah, so track limits warning there possibly for Max Mulder. Robert Smith, fastest lap of the race, as Sam comes in for his drive-through penalty to get that out of the way. That won't hurt him too bad in this first race, in this second race, like we said, over race 1, because of the fact that he will have that hour to make up the time. It's not going to hurt him too much. Robert Smith now on the back of Dizzle. Dizzle's lost time through this first sector over Max Mulder, and a lot of time because he's now got Robert Smith and Richie Michelle just there. Dennis Hansen still coming under pressure from that of John Gooday, as we have lost Dan from the commentary box momentarily, so hopefully we'll be able to get Dan back into the box soon. But Justin Winter now managing to stretch that bit of a gap over Dennis Hansen, just try and pull away. He's got John Gooday for company at the moment, and can John use his Aston Martin to gain that place over Sam? Can he regain a place now over that of Dennis Hansen? They come up towards the right-hander. John's having a look. You're not going to do it from back there. Let's go back down to Brian Craig, though. He's having a look up the inside, then a Senna for P11. That is into the right-hander. Senna manages to hold on into that one. Romeo's having a good scrap. Oh, so what about Bruno Diaz? He's just ahead of John Andrews. Then it's Mark Tucker and Darren Bell with Naval Gomez. We've not seen the best of the Ford Mustang tonight, Dan, as you join us back live.
Yes, that was weird because I left the party due to network issue, but I didn't leave the server. So either way, fun times being on my internet. Max Mulder leading the way, but Dizzle has got Robert Smith and Richie Michel really hustling in the back, and Justin Winter is ahead of Dennis and ahead of John Goudet. Dennis to Jackal. Tim Venting's got a lot of work to do, as he's probably flat spotted those tyres, and they're going to feel absolutely horrible and overheated. But right now, Max Mulder only just pulling away from Dizzle here. Dizzle, with the more stable and more reliable BMW, is able to stick with Max, even though Max now does the fastest lap of the race. Oh, Justin Winter has a big snap in turn 2.
Yeah, just watching Justin Winter there with Dennis Hansen all over the back of him at the moment. The Jackal trying to get onto the back of John Goudet. So did John just make a mistake somewhere? Then they've got Tim Ventic down the order again, though. Diego Flores on the back of Michael. Michael's made his way past. They've now got Bruno Diaz, who's going to try and keep them company. Mark Tucker's down in 19th place behind Darren Bell. And Sam, after his drive-through's only lost 9 seconds over that of Naval Gomez. He's negotiated DJ Phil nicely already. Back to the front of the pack, though. Robert Smith trying to use that slipstream of Dissel and get onto the back of him, but he's towing Richie Michel along for the ride with him. And here they come then down the back straight towards the bottom end of the circuit, where Max Mulder now has that 1.8 second gap. What's it going to be over the timing beam now? Loses 2 more tenths. Needs to be careful that he doesn't flat spot them tyres. No moves from drivers this time around. It's going to drop down to the Justin Winter fight. There he is with Dennis Hansen all over the back of him. Hansen a little wide. That'll possibly be a track limit warning there for Dennis Hansen, as he was just over their marker board, you saw. John Goudet taking the Jackal and Tim Ventic with him. Senna still behind Mirko, Richie. Romeo in that lovely, what would you call that, creamy coloured, not creamy, like skin-toned coloured Porsche. He's got, Bjorklund's got cream. Michael 50th behind. Yeah, I will say cream. Then good evening to Tracy in the chat. Bruno Diaz still stuck behind Diego Flores then, as they are also now trying to make work in progress towards the front. But look at these for second, third and fourth, and Dizzle has got Robert Smith and Richie Michel right there for company.
Yeah, but more importantly, Dizzle is not letting Max get away. Max is just only a few seconds ahead, but Richie Michel really got the hammer down. He struggled in the sprint, but he's really looking strong here in the feature, giving Robert Smith a bit of a headache. The Ferrari looking reasonable at the minute at this stage. Well, Justin Winter has got an entire train behind him.
Choo-choo. Let's go. Dennis Hansen, John Goudet and the Jackal, they're all in this queue for position here to get inside the top 5. And don't forget the Greasy Bandits Racing are trying to make sure they can claw points back wide over BSP in that Constructors' Championship. Just back on board with Dizzle then. He's lost quite a chunk of time. 7/10 of a second he's lost over that of Max Mulder through the first sector. Look like you've got this 3 gaggle of cars here. Then you've got the trainer, Justin Winter, Dennis Hansen, John Goudet, the Jackal and Tim Venting, all coming down the back straight. Justin Winter's Porsche has looked relatively good in a straight line today. What will it do now? It's punching a hole in the air for that of Dennis Hansen, who pulls out to the inside line now.
I'd be worried about the Aston Martin behind.
I'd possibly be worried about John Goudet, because look, John Goudet's trying to follow that slipstream of Dennis Hansen and maybe keep that inside line. And John, has he tucked back in behind? He has. Dennis Hansen gets through, and they all make it through the right hander nice and easy.
But Dennis Hansen's run very, very wide, and that's going to be a track limits warning. And John Goudet attacks his teammate. The rear steps out. That's going to take a while for him to catch and overheat those tyres. But John Goudet has cleared his teammate after a phenomenal start in the Porsche for the Justin Winter. He's now dropped behind John Goudet, and it's going to have got a lot of work to do. But Max Mulder extending the gap to
Romeo's
Robert
off.
Smith.
Apologies, Dan. Romeo's had a big spin at the long right-hander, the one where you have to hurry up and wait. That'll have hurt his tyres, and he's just patiently waiting for a clear gap to come on. He's dropped right down the order, I believe, just ahead of Sam and DJ Phil, so he has lost a lot of places. Brian Craig was on the back of him. Michael's within a second of Bjorklund. We've got Darren Bell in the thick of things with Bruno Diaz on the back of him, and Mark Tucker as well. They're trying to gain on Diego Flores, but out front, some 2 BMWs and Richie Michel that are really having a great battle for the podium.
Richie's right there, and he's just trying to get that undercut, but he can't seem to do so, and it is really really struggling for the Ferrari at the minute. And I think Tim Venting is now starting to make some pressures, as the Jackal is now looking to make a move on Justin Winter, but can't find a way through. And Tim Venting is going to go around the outside of the Jackal. He'll have the inside for the next corner, but it'll be a track limits warning there for sure if he carried that much curb. And now the Jackal is just going to have to sit and wait. And John Goudet has lost time as well, and Justin Winter's back onto his teammate again.
Ebbing and flowing between these four at the moment. They're trying to all hunt down Dennis Hansen as well, but a lovely move from Tim Venting, like you say. Maybe the fact of a bit of track limits there for taking too much curb, but Tim gets past. Justin Winter is now back on the rear of his teammate. Richie Michel, though, is he looking to make a move up the order? Yes, he is, side by side with Robert Smith. In towards the right-hander they come. Brave to get the move done here, and Richie Michel up the inside. Easy as you like. Robert Smith couldn't cover that one off.
No, but what Robert Smith did quite cleverly there, he didn't lose too much time, and there you go, Richie Michel's losing the rear end going into the long right-hander. And yeah, Robert Smith there just being sensible, knowing to pick his fights, and just allowing the Ferrari to go through.
Oh, Jackal's back ahead of Tim Venting. So yeah, has Tim had another moment at the same right-hander? Maybe not as big, but another moment possibly, because he's now back behind the Jackal. Mirko Ricci can't do anything about it. He's got Senna behind him, trying to make way. Björklund then behind Brian Craig.
Bruno's hustling the back of Diego, and he's going to look to the inside. Oh, that's contact there as Bruno makes slight contact with the Porsche and just stays ahead of Darren Brown. Darren Brown? Yeah, Darren Bell. That's what I meant. Darren. I didn't know the sidekick is a racer. But Bruno goes down the inside, but he's going to be on the outside for the hairpin. And Diego takes a lot of curb, and Bruno runs really wide. And Darren Bell can't do anything about either of them at this minute, and it just allows Mark Tucker to get a little bit closer.
It doesn't. If we look in the background, Romeo then's trying to fight with the Ford Mustang and the BMW of John Andrews and Naval Gomez. So Romeo back onto the pace now, as after his mistake he's on the outside line. John Andrews squeezing him to the outside of the circuit as much as he dares, and Romeo hangs on in there and manages to keep going for the time being. Richie Michel now is right up the rear of Dizzle for this second place, and that Ferrari looking pretty decent. The BMW not looking massively great out there at the moment, but Dizzle doing what he needs to do, just sitting behind his championship rival and letting Max do the hard work. Max hasn't dropped these guys. Let's make this clear. We're on lap 5 and only the gap is 2.8. He's not pulled out massive amounts in this race.
No, he hasn't, and this is the thing, is he just nursing those tyres? He's had a couple of big Larry moments. Oh, Dizzle's had a Larry moment now. That's going to be a track limits warning, and that's the other thing. They can't keep pushing as hard as they had been because they've got to worry about those track limit warnings. If they get a track limit warning, that is it. They're going to be in immense trouble, and Justin Winter really twitchy and losing time once again to Jackal and Tim Venting. And like I said, Tim Venting burnt those tyres out, and he can't get past the Jackal.
He really has burnt them out, and this is going to hurt him. Mirko Ricci not able to close the gap. Senna still stuck behind him. Brian Craig still on the rear of Michael here then. So it's going to be an interesting one to keep our eyes on what happens between this little fight down the order.
Train.
Darren Bell will go back to Dizzle though. And now they've got Dennis Hansen's with them now, Dan.
Yeah, Dennis Hansen, Robert Smith is there as well, and if it keeps getting the way it is, then John Goudet is going to be on the back of him, and Max, with this fight going on, extends the gap even more. It's only a couple of tenths here or there, but that's all you need. That's what I did at Indianapolis. Sorry, I just cut out there, didn't I?
You did a little bit. That's why I started to talk, yeah.
Fantastic. I'm going to set fire to my PlayStation in a minute.
You're right in what you're saying, though. Max is just doing exactly what he needs to do. He's not overdriving the car. He's not pushing too hard. He's just steadily building that gap. Look, it goes up 1/10 through the first sector, so it's nothing major. It's nothing crazy, but it's enough that he can build that gap and can pull away from these drivers. But this is the train at the minute. Dizzle, Richie Michel, Robert Smith, Dennis Hansen. In fact, that is the Jackal going side by side with Tim Venting. Tim still can't get past him, and you have to feel that Ferrari's tyres may be scrubbed and may be ready for the bin when the pit window opens.
Yeah, definitely. So I would be surprised if none of these guys don't tyre change. It saves 5 seconds, really not worth it. But we'll see, as Tim Venting is really close to Jackal this time. But he probably seems a little bit more nervous of this right-hander after having 2 big moments. He comes into the right-hander, and look, you just see he just understeers behind the BMW and just can't do anything about it. And Jackal's car is planted to the ground and does not move. Meanwhile, Max still pulling away from Dizzle. Richie Michel's lost a little bit of time. He's now probably looking in his rearview mirror for Robert Smith. And look in the background, John Goudet is starting to creep onto this 4.
And while we go down to the P11, Senna's just got himself into the top 10 ahead
Justin Winter
of Mirko Ricci. So Jackal's got past Justin Winter. Justin Winter now side by side with Tim Venting. Contact, and Tim's fully around. Justin manages to hang on in there. But Tim Venting fully around, and now Senna's the man on form, the man who's just made a move. He's going to be coming for him, and that is really going to hurt Tim's tyres in this race.
Yeah, they're gone. They're dead. And look at him. He's just he's frustrated by the list of things. I do think Justin Winter may be at fault for that one. Really, I think he was far enough alongside to really owe space to Tim, and Tim, obviously up the inside, was entitled to the space, but I just don't think Justin Winter gave it to him.
So Tim out of this train at the moment. Max goes through sector 1 again, and Richie Michel still up the rear. Max has had the gap brought down a little bit by Dizzle, so Dizzle just gaining a little bit, but it's Dizzle, Richie Michel, Robert Smith, Dennis Hansen. There's John Goudet. That is 1.2 off the back of Dennis Hansen, so he started to come. Then it's the Jackal, Justin Winter, back down to Senna. This is the
closest Richie Michel has been yet. This should be interesting, but the BMW quite strong in a straight line, should be able to out-drag the Ferrari, but the Ferrari's got better, it's more sleeker.
Just to point out as well, is it's the confidence through this corner to make the move, isn't it? And that's what we're looking at. How confident are you at this corner to get that move done up the inside? Richie Michel going up the inside of Dizzle here in towards the back end of the circuit. Dizzle a little wide, gives him the room. Richie Michel's through. Now, will Richie Michel be able to pull away? What about Tim Venting? He had Senna battling him. Senna still stuck behind Tim Venting at the moment. Down the order a little bit we go. 0.4 of a second, Darren Bell to Naval Gomez, expecting that Mustang to really pull in the straight line here. He's close to the back of Mark Tucker, and they've got Romeo gaining on these two as well. And who's that in the background? I think that's Sam, who's having a three-way fight with John Andrews and Diego Flores. And I think he'll get up the inside of Diego Flores, but can't get up the inside of John Andrews. Now Diego's going to try and come back at Sam. This is all for P20 out there on the track. But Richie Michel now down. He's pulled a bit of a gap over Dizzle at the back end of that lap, and he's caught that gap to Max Mulder.
He has indeed, and he's cut the gap quite a bit actually. So Richie Michel seems to be on fire at the minute. Has he looked after those tyres in the first couple of laps, and now using them to his advantage, because he's just dropped the BMWs instantly.
He didn't seem overly aggressive, did he, behind Dizzle to get past? He seemed like he was happy to wait and take his time.
He was indeed, and that's allowed his tyres just to get a little bit more life into him. And Max obviously having a few moments himself, and maybe most of the guys probably used up all of their track limits as well. I'm going to try and find out. I do know Max Mulder streams, so I will try and find his stream actually and see if he has got any track limit warnings.
So Robert Smith on the back of Dizzle, Dennis Hansen on the back of him. John Gooday's just lost out a bit of time. Brian Craig is on the rear of Michael still. They feel like they've been following each other for a while. On the back of Mark Tucker then is Gomez and Darren Bell, and Romeo's trying to get on that pack as well. Sam's managed to clear John Andrews and that of Diego Flores, so the FSO Juniors down the bottom end of the pack at the moment, but it
Max
really
has
is
one warning.
Robert Smith on the back of Dizzle. Max has one warning. Right, let me see if I can find anybody on my Twitch who I know will possibly be streaming and have a look at them. But Robert Smith, Dan, right on the back of Dizzle. Dizzle just doesn't have the pace again this week.
No, yeah, I think the BMW was going to be a little bit hampered here, but it's doing what it's meant to do, and it's looking after its tyres, trying to get him at least in this championship fight, and he's going to allow Richie Michel to kind of do the hard work now. He's going to allow him just to go after Max Mulder, give him some pressure, and as long as Dizzle outscores John Goudet, probably Tim Venting he's got to look at now, and also he's got to try and outscore Max Mulder. He's got to allow Richie Michel to do all the hard work, which he's cut the gap again. So it is coming down very quickly.
One track limit, and that's him and Hypertech's the only two that I've got. Hypertech's got none on his screen, so I can't see any for John there. But Dizzle with one track limit to his name. But yeah, you're right. Richie Michel, fastest lap of the race. He's coming for Max Mulder right now. He is the man on a mission.
He is indeed. We're now playing a game of what streams can we find.
Mark Tucker's lost out to Gomez, Dan. That's for 16th and 17th place. They've got Darren Bell right behind them as well. Sam's now on the hunt for Romeo, who's trying to get on this little train. We've got Brian Craig still on the back of Michael. Michael's up to 12 from the back of the grid. Not bad for him, but where could he have been had he started this race? And still that train forming behind Dizzle. Robert Smith, Dennis Hansen. John's trying to get back on it after a little mistake a couple of laps ago, but Robert Smith right in that slipstream now. Is he close enough to maybe get closer and pull out and have a look? I don't think he is.
I don't think he is either, but Richie Michelle now setting fastest lap of the race last time round. So he's the man putting the pressure on. Robert Smith really trying to hassle Dizzle while he can. But what they need to be doing is allowing Richie Michelle to catch Max Mulder. They need to really stick with him, but they've not really gone with him. And now it's just a matter of time when Richie Michelle will catch Max and put some pressure on him.
It is indeed. So the BMW is third and fourth at the moment, but not looking overly strong. Dennis Hansen just behind. John still lost out a little bit on that last lap. So he's still trying to get on the back of this train. We've got Bruno, we've got Jacques Lund now gaining on the back of Brian Craig, who's lost out to Michael a little bit. We've still got Romeo now, who's on the back of Darren Bell. So Romeo's in the thick of fights in his first ever race here at SimPlay Motorsport. What can he do as he comes now a bit closer to the rear? And he's looking better and better in this race as it goes on. He's had that one spin, so you wonder what his tyres are doing. Pit window opens in 3.5 minutes as well. That could be crucial. See who comes in early or who's going to take it like that halfway stage of the race. As John's now within a second of the car in front, so we now have a train again of 4 near enough cars for that final podium spot. But Dan, strategy is going to be interesting here. The closer you want, you surely want to take tyres as close to half an hour as possible, unless you tip.
You want to split the strategy, and you kind of want to see where it takes you at that point, and try and basically plan your strategy from there. And it's all depending on fuel as well. It all depends on what fuel they've put in the car, and if they decided to go light for the first half, then they'll have to make sure they pit at the right window. But at this minute, it's all about the tyres here. I think it's going to be looking after the tyres, nursing them to the end, and see what happens from there.
It is indeed. So let's see what happens then. At the moment, we've got Robert Smith coming under pressure from Dennis Hansen in the background. This is for P4 and 5 at the moment. If you are Robert Smith, BMW doesn't seem to be a favoured car tonight. Dennis Hansen backs out and tucks back in behind that of Robert Smith. It's not 2-1 England yet. They're VAR checking it.
I mean, at the minute, it's the Netherlands leading at this precise minute. I don't know where Richie Michelle is from, but whatever country he's from is in second.
It's 1-1. It's been disallowed. It's 1-1. There we go.
God. Anyway,
back to the racing. Dizzle still hanging on in there from Robert Smith, from Dennis Hansen. John Gooday, Dan, right with them now. He is right with them. And Tim Venting has got past Justin Winter. So Tim's now back up to P8. But the question is, he's had 2 spins, one on his own, one with contact with Justin Winter. What are his tyres going to be like with a minute till the pit window?
What are they going to be like? And I think Richie Michelle has kind of hit a wall now and can't seem to improve, as Max has responded to him. Dizzle and Robert Smith now side by side with Dennis. John Gouday's right there, but Dennis can't find a way through. He might hamper his exit out of turn 2, which might give John Gouday the opportunity to try and lunge up the inside, but he can't quite get close enough.
Let me ask you a question now then, Dan. Was Max Mulder not pulling away on purpose, do we think, to preserve his tyres? Because, like you say, Richie Michelle, Dennis Hansen, drive-through penalty, trial limits. So there's the first driver for a drive-through penalty just as the pit window's about to open. This time, that is a shame. But was Max preserving his tyres, knowing full well he's under no pressure, he can take his time? The minute Richie Michelle started to get close enough, he's gone, right, I need to improve a little bit.
I think he pushed hard at the beginning, then probably cooked his tyres a little bit harder than he wanted to, because he's not gone faster than Richie Michelle. He could do another purple if he wanted to, but I just don't think he has that pace. I think he genuinely is nursing the tyres a little bit, or just being cautious of track limits is what I would say.
Well, let's see what happens then for Max Mulder in
John
this
Gouday
race.
Right there on Dennis, but he doesn't need to. He doesn't need to be pressurising Dennis, but he's going to send it up the inside anyway. But obviously he's going to run out of time. Richie Michelle is Italian. Oh, thank you very much.
Yeah. Justin Winters on the back of Tim Venting as well. Now, this is going to be interesting. Pit window open, Dan. The spins at Tim Venting's had. Would you pit if you was in his position?
No. I'd keep pushing the limit. I'd get to as close as halfway as possible. Because then the longer you can waste on these tyres, the more performance you will have in the last half. Yes, they're going to be hurting as Robert Smith pulls the plug, as does Dennis Hansen, but I think he'll have to serve his drive-through. I want to get as close as possible to the halfway stage to then use the new set of tyres as an advantage on exit. So abuse them on exit, abuse them on entry, but nurse them for now. But yeah, it's a cat and mouse game with the tyres. You really do have to look after them. And then when you are fed up with them, then you just got to absolutely annihilate them. And then do pit, because once they've been annihilated, that's it. They're never going to come back into performance.
Bruno Diaz in the pits. We've got a cracking four-way fight. I think it's just turned into a three-way, because I think Sam's pitted. Yeah, Sam's dived into the pits. Down between Darren Bell, Mark Tucker, and that of Romeo, who's trying to come back through here. Sam's into the pit lane, though. Dennis has completed his drive-through, so lost time, but, you know, where is he? He's just quite ahead of Gomez, so he's 14th place at the moment, so this time he can make up. Max Mulder is back over 3 seconds. Dizzle now has got a comfortable gap to John Goudet with Robert Smith going into the pits. He's the first man into the pits who's done.
Darren Bell and Mark Tucker have come together. They're both facing the wrong way. They have got going again, and Darren Bell returns back behind Mark Tucker. A bit sloppy from those two, but Robert Smith returns back out on track. But yeah, Max now, I would say he's coming close to a pit stop. He is abusing those tyres now, and I think so is Richie Michelle. And like you said earlier on, Dizzle has no answer. He has no answer whatsoever to the guys in front. I do think when we go to Laguna Seca, the BMW should come back into
Well, we've got the likes of Laguna. Hungaroring will be BM should be better over Ferrari. We'll have Zolder and Zandvoort, where the BM looks to be one of the better cars through there. So there is tracks where the BM's going to come back in this season. Obviously, it is about that, you know, you take what tracks the cars are good on over the others, you know. And
John Goudet's in.
What the race is. So John Goudet into the pits then. And the Jackal stays out. Tim Venting stays out. As does Justin Winter. Senna comes into the pit lane. Nice pit entry that from Senna. That's the example of what the drivers need to do. Stay tight on the exit of the final corner. Driver into the pit lane. Michael stays out.
Most of them have been doing it. Most of them have been following the rules. It's going to be the pro boys, I think, they're going to fail at it. Which seems to be quite a low grid at the minute. Oh, Dennis Hansen just on the limit, I would say, on pit entry.
Didn't manage to see that one. Darren Bell was close to John Andrews. He's now ahead of John Andrews. One person that helps out the Darren Bell Mark Tucker incident will help out Sam, who had that drive through at the start to be able to gain over them during the pit lane. Romeo is into the pit lane. Mark Tucker is also in. John Andrews stays out. Darren Bell comes in. What about DJ Phil? He is in. And Diego Flores is going to carry on his way. So that is the order pitted for this time round. John Goudet is done. This is going to be interesting where he comes out over Robert Smith. He was on the back of Robert Smith. I think Robert's going to get him, though. Danny's halfway down the start straight. John's only just come off the limiter.
I think it's closer than you think. John Goudet's got up and going. I think, yeah, the undercut is not that powerful. If anything, the overcut seems to be a little bit better.
I think John, yeah, you're right. John is closer there now than what he was there before he pitted to the back of Robert Smith. Let's not forget, he just got past Dennis Hansen at the time of the pit stop. So John Goudet at the minute is probably in a better position. And like I say, the overcut working, the better of the pit strategies, that really could help out Dizzle pull a gap over these two come that time of his pit stop.
Max staying out, Richie Michelle looking like he's staying out as well. It's then Dizzle coming to the line, and those three kind of separated by an equal gap at the minute as Max continues to extend his gap. And I think the guys behind Max have really abused their tyres, have been racing each other and being in the toe of one another, and now Max is able just to start using his clean air advantage of fresher tyres just to push that little bit more here and there. But he's got to be careful once again. Like I said, the one thing that we'll keep mentioning is the track limits is what is going to be key here.
Bruno Diaz has got Dennis Hansen on the back of him, and John Goudet's within 4/10 now of Robert Smith. So John Goudet trying to come back in this championship fight a little bit after climbing up to third place in the standings. Gomez is in the pits. Mirko Ricci's on the back of Bjork Lund. Mirko Ricci had to serve a qualifying ban and a race ban, so really needs to tidy up his racing in terms of the penalty points. Looks like he's having a good race so far. He's got past Bjork Lund. Pretty easy, pretty simple for him.
Indeed it was, and sorry, I'm just keeping an eye on Max Mulder. Track limit still on only one.
Diego Flores didn't stay tight on the exit. He's managed to make the pit entry okay, but has chopped the nose of Robert Smith off. That may have caused Robert Smith to get off the power a little bit. John Gooday's now right up the rear wing of that BMW, and Diego Flores there just leaving it a little late to decide to come into the pit lane, and boy, that could have been nasty.
I think John Goudet gave him a little tap there, nothing too crazy, but these two are having a great little scrap right now. And right now, John Goudet is going to send it up the inside of the right-hander. Not really an overtaking opportunity too, but he gets the job done. Will the BMW try and come back at him? John's gone very tight there, which is going to push him wide, restrict his exit. And again, while these two are too busy fighting one another, it's allowing the likes of Richie Michel and Dizzle to slowly, bit by bit. John Goudet's been working his way up the order. Not the best qualifier, but in the race pace, he seems to come back. Richie Michel now into the pits.
He does
at the roughly halfway stage.
He is indeed. By the time his pit stop done, it would just be over halfway. We've got Brian Craig within 9/10 of Michael. We're watching the Mirko Ricci back ahead of Bjork Lund, who was now back behind Bjork Lund. So these two just keep running a little wide. Bjork there has a big moment, big twitch, and that was huge. That's put him down the order, and he's now going to have to come into the pit lane. But Robert Smith doing a great job. Romeo trying to get on the back of Naval Gomez now in the Ford Mustang. They've got, is that Max Mulder just behind them? It is. It's the race leader just behind them. So Max now in starting to come into some traffic. Tim Venting right up the rear wing now, excuse me, of the Jackal. This is for P3. They've got DJ Phil to lap as well. So with these leaders starting to meet some traffic, surprised we're not seeing them in the pits. Maybe that's why Richie Michel's pulled the trigger.
An interesting thing as well, while we're looking at Max's stream, at this point in the race, he's carrying 57 litres. He fueled right up at the beginning, so he hasn't messed around with fuel. He's added a little bit for the pit stop, as Tim Venting is looking to the outside, but they got DJ Phil right in front of him. This is going to be brave, as the Jackal, I think, yields a little bit, and Tim Venting gets through, but DJ Phil right in the way of the leaders at the minute and pulls right out of the way.
I'm surprised the Jackal didn't give that a bit braver on the inside line, knowing that Tim has struggled there this race. Maybe just brave it out a little bit. John Gooday's still got Robert Smith right up his trumpet at the moment, and they've got John Andrews just in front of them, who's got to make a pit stop. He's in 8th place. In fact, that's for position. So this isn't even a lapped car. This is for position. Bjork Lund coming out the pits at the moment down the order. Romeo has got past Gomez. Oh my God! They both go over the pit entry line as Bjork there was exiting the pit lane, and if Bjork was 5 seconds quicker, that would have been a nasty incident. Max and Dizzle in. Tim Venting stays out. Jackal's in. Brian Craig, Richie and John Andrews, who's now side by side with that of John Gooday. The two Johns going at it. Robert Smith has dropped right off the back of John Gooday. And John against John. Gooday to the outside of Andrews. Gooday through.
Max tyre changing. He's changing tyres. And once again, the tyres seem to be not updated. They seem to be not restricted.
Yeah.
Which is fantastic. So Max Mulder has gone green. Where is Richie Michel? He's only now coming into the final few corners, so Max should have him covered. But Richie Michel has had a couple of laps on those fresh new tyres. Is it going to be close enough? I don't really think it is, as Max now gets to the end of the pit lane and releases the throttle. And Richie Michel only now comes down the main straight. Dizzle's got going and should slot behind him.
One thing to note, John Andrews still yet to pit, really, and this is for position, so he's got every right to be there, has held Robert Smith through that last sector. An absolute peach, to the point that Robert Smith has lost a couple of seconds over John Gooday. And yeah, really, really unlucky for Robert Smith. He's now got through at turn 1. But that is disastrous for him. So Max Mulder currently your net race leader. There is Dizzle. John Gooday nowhere near
again.
At the moment. Tim's off again. So his tyres must be screaming in.
Not majorly. He's just run a little bit wide. Yeah, I think he has to pit this lap. He's just losing time now, if anything. So it's all going to stay relatively stable now, as the closest fight is probably Michael Bruno and Dennis Hansen, who comes out behind Brian Craig, who's come out of the pits. And it's a McLaren fight at the minute, 28 versus the 33, and Senna, Richie Michel. Oh no, wait, that is Senna. No, I've lost him now. Brian Craig, where is he? There he is. Dennis Hansen, has gone around the outside. Stupid game, doesn't update quick enough. And he's already on the back of Bruno in the Lamborghini. So Bruno really struggling in the Lamborghini, which is a surprise.
Very much so a surprise. I was watching Mark Tucker. He's now just cleared DJ Phil. But yeah, back to your fight. Dennis Hansen on the back of Bruno Diaz. Michael up to 11th. I just wonder where this Nissan would have been, had he qualified, because he's had some good pace out there. Tim Venting's decided to pull it into the pits, and yeah, interesting. Dizzle, look at that, the overcut really does work, because Max went longer than Richie. Max has pulled out even more of a gap. Dizzle went longer than John. He's got 3 seconds of a gap. So the overcut, really the pit stop to do, and if any of the pro drivers are watching, clearly the strategy for tomorrow night.
Definitely watching indeed. I'm making notes as we go along. Well, I need notes on how to sort out internet. But Tim Venting's now coming out of the pits. Dizzle has only now just gone through. John Goudet has now going to go through. Robert Smith is going to be the one at risk here from Tim Venting. Nope, because there is Tim back on track.
Nearly
and the Jackal... Sorry?
Nearly. Again, and I go back to that John Andrews battle that Robert Smith struggled to get past. That has nearly cost him. I know it's a couple of seconds in it now between himself and Tim, but if Tim didn't change tyres, maybe that gap is not longer there. So yeah, just goes to show that fighting John Andrews for them couple of corners has really hurt Robert Smith in this race.
It has indeed, and John Andrews now just really focusing on his fight, which is with the likes of DJ Phil, Mark Tucker. So he's just focusing on his own race while everyone else is racing around him. But Max Mulder seems to be under control, got everything in place, and Richie Michel, since passing Dizzle, has no answer for Max. Brought the gap down a couple of seconds, but then Max just turned up the heat and away he goes. Currently looking at his cut tyres, they're in a beautiful window at the minute. They're not overheating, they're in nice green, and yeah, pressures are looking good as well. John Goudet, meanwhile, is putting pressure on Dizzle. He's brought that gap to less than 2 seconds.
Yeah, he's brought that gap down to less than 2 seconds, but Dizzle didn't have the pace last week, did he? And he's not had the pace tonight. Attacking. Justin Winter down in 9th. Senna's got the jump on him. Wow, Justin Winter struggled in this race 2 over race 1, but he's looking up the inside of Senna, going into right-hander. He's going to back out that one. Do you know what makes me laugh, Dan? And I'm going to point this out while he's watching. Mike put goal for England's second goal there. Mike tomorrow night will claim that he doesn't like football. So let's not forget that one. But Justin Winter, yeah, not the race 2 for him.
No, not has been the race 2, but you know, he'll look to a circuit like Laguna Seca where there's not a lot of straights, but where they are, they're short, so the Porsche should be strong there.
Porsche should be strong there, so let's see what will happen as this race goes on. But yeah, like you say, it's been a good day at the moment for Max Mulder once again. Tim Bentinck not had the race 2, he'd have wanted to, but in this championship, Dan, you're at the halfway stage, so you maybe now just start to glimpse and have one eye on them championship standings. And Max Mulder, that's Mark Tucker with a drive-through penalty late on in the race. That's for track limits. You do start to maybe have one eye on them championship standings at the end of the day. And yeah, interesting to see.
Indeed. As I'm currently watching the Bruno and Dennis Hansen fight with Gomez. This is heating up, and Dennis goes down the inside of the Lambo. They make contact, and Bruno goes off and spins round, and the Lamborghini drops further back the order, as it's not been the night for Bruno either, probably struggling with the hot temperatures. But Dizzle and John Goudet now 1.1 is the gap between them as the pit window closes.
What's that Disney song? We don't talk about Bruno. not his night. Yeah, not his night. Not his night.
Oh, God, excuse me.
Yeah. Justin Winter on the back of Senna right now, and he's still on the back of Senna. He's been there all last couple of laps. He was there in race 1, if I remember. He breezed past Senna in race 1. Senna looks like he's maybe tweaked that setup a little bit.
Yeah, possibly so. And just trying to save tyres a little bit more, but it's probably compromised him. But Max Mulder stealing the fastest lap back once again. 7.3 between him and Michelle. Dizzle has got John Goudet howling down him now.
Yeah, I agree. John Goudet has possibly won. You know, if you don't look at Max, John Gooday's had a strong night yet again.
Yeah, he just needs to work on his qualifying. I think he's got race pace. Yeah. That's not the problem. It's just qualifying that seems to be his issue. And I think he just needs to, you know, improve on that, make some changes, find a way to help him in qualifying, and he should be able to, able to push a little bit harder.
Going to be an interesting fight at the end of this race. John Goudet Dizzle a little wide there. That's going to allow John to get a bit of a better run. Down onto this back straight. What's the Aston going to be like, though? That Mercedes engine in it. So what can the Aston Martin do? This is going to be the interesting one to see here.
Aston versus BMW. Mercedes versus BMW. 66 is Dennis Hansen. He's now got a drive-through for track limits. Any more coming away? But here comes John Goudet in the Aston, but not quite close enough there. And
I don't know. Dizzle's gone very wide. And John's going to now have a look. I think John's going to be up the inside. We've seen him make a few overtakes here tonight already. John now up the inside of a struggling BMW. Dennis Hansen drive-through penalty to his name. And that is job done, John Goudet. John Goudet, sorry. We keep saying his name wrong. It's Goudet, not Goudet. Yeah, John Goudet. I like that. It's got a better ring to it. Change your name, John. But he's through. Robert Smith struggling. Robert Smith now with Tim Ventink on the back of him.
Romeo and Sam have got a close fight at the minute. Romeo's in the slipstream and looking to try and attack the Aston Martin. But once again, that Porsche just tops out ever so slightly, coming to the end of the straight. They're gaining on Brian
Craig as well, Dan.
They are indeed. So a lot of fights happening now towards the end of this race. There's still 20 minutes to go. So they've already endured the worst of it. But, yep, races are still happening and still going on.
Yeah, they are, and it's still battles
they're on Michael
all the
Craig,
way.
They're on B. Craig as well, so yeah. Brian Craig struggling, so all close fights going on.
Yeah, a lot of close fights. Justin Winter's on the back of Senna. Brian Craig's got them two behind him. We go down to Navel. He's gaining on the back of Dennis. Dennis with a drive-through, though, so that's going to really dump him down the order a little bit, but you have to say, disappointing tonight. He's still got good results, but Dizzle's BMW hasn't worked.
No, it's not worked, but like I said, it's just, again, a couple of those rounds where they're just going to have to bite the bullet and hopefully come back for the next race of the season. But yeah, a lot of work for Dizzle to do at the minute, because just nothing seems to be working at the minute.
Yeah, it's tough, but like you say, Laguna could be the track for him to come back. Justin Winter is going to have a look, but Tim Ventink's now side by side with Robert Smith going down the back straight, and this is going to be an interesting one to see as we go through and see what they can do. This is going to be a fantastic battle towards the end. Tim has got through Robert Smith. BM just hasn't looked great around here.
No, it hasn't, but it's been stable. That's what they want. But obviously with the tyre change involved, they're then able to basically negate the problem of the long race. I mean, if we had the issue of, if we didn't allow refueling, and it is literally just a tyre change, if they wanted it, then I think we could see a different story of this race.
Oh, God.
People trying
right
to save tyres.
I'm just sorry. I've just seen a few things pop up on my phone to the left of me while I'm watching Hypertech Extreme. And this is why I talk about racing more than football, because now we're getting England fans be England fans, and it's really starting to frustrate me. So I've locked my phone. John, I've had to turn your stream off. I apologise. I cannot cope with them nonsense popping up anymore.
Tim Ventink, fastest lap.
Tim Ventink, fastest lap. Senna has lost out to Justin Winter. Down to Sam on the back, kind of Brian Craig. He's got Romeo, though. Romeo's first appearance tonight, Dan, right up his trumpet. Romeo's impressed me. Boris spin earlier in the race. Romeo in that Porsche. The Porsche tonight, I tell you what, I think it's been the shock car. I think it's done really well.
I wouldn't say it's done okay. Again, it's one sector that seems to be the push. I mean, Justin Winter's gone backwards in this one, while Romeo has gone forward. I mean, this is Romeo's first race, and this is the first time we're evaluating him, so he might be better than the cars around him. So you can't really judge it on that. For me, it's been the Aston Martin that's really been the surprise for me.
Has just lost out to Romeo. Just as you're saying, the Aston has had the night. It's just lost out to the Porsche, but Romeo, yeah, up another place. Sorry, Dan, carry on.
Up another place, yeah. And I've now decided to put John Goudet's stream on, and still don't understand how he uses a camping chair to drive. But hey ho, I mean, Simrig's falling apart. So
let's go back over the years of SimPlay Motorsport. Sut used to race in a fishing chair. John races in a camping chair. Jamie used to drive on the pad, stood up for the for the whole 2 hours. We've had some bizarre drivers, haven't we? Hey.
But the best one for his championship. Gary
on an ironing board in an armchair. Yeah.
Probably the best one yet. You could have been more comfortable, could you? And while he's at it, he can do the ironing. I bet his partner
keeps the missus.
That.
Well, it was at Little Leach's house, so I bet Little Leach's partner was happy with that.
And obviously, can't remember what the name of the wheel was, but I'm pretty sure the wheel they were using overheated quite easily, so it was pretty much like an iron anyway.
The Thrustmaster T150, yeah, pretty much like an iron, you could say that. Dizzle's got back within a second of John, so if John just made a mistake, he's slow, and Dizzle's side by side-ish. There he is, he's fully alongside, and he's going to try and look around the outside the first part here. Can't get it done, so is John just now starting to maybe make a few mistakes?
He had a Larry moment in the second corner, and tyres are hot again.
Yeah, tyres are hot again. It's going to be an interesting one to see in this race. Let's see what happens in this one.
I'm looking at John Goudet's car at the minute. He's suffering with quite a bit of understeer in the first sector, which is normal. Obviously, the car is front-engined, and most of the car will understeer naturally because most of the weight is to the front. Now, unless we were able to adjust the weight ballast, he would put it more to the rear. His brakes are also set to 61.2, so he's got quite a lot of front brake bias. The other issue they're having now is they got 14.5 minutes to go, and there's a black and pink Ferrari catching them quickly.
Yeah, he's there. He's right there. Dizzle's right with John, and like you say, Tim is right there. He's set the fastest lap. He's got them fresh boots on. He's not made them same mistakes. Tim could be on the podium here, and for BSP, it could be more points. And John, with 15 minutes to go, has got to now get these mistakes out his head.
Yeah, I think he's caught Dizzle and caught him quickly.
Disqualified. So that's track limits. So Bruno will be down in 20. Will score no points for this race. That'll be a disqualification. And Bruno was having a discussion about if you get disqualified, does that become your drop score? No, it does not, because of the disqualification in the race. So the 20 points he scored will not become his drop round because of that. The fact he only scored 20 points and disqualified from the race is disqualified from the race. But now look, Dan, Goudet, Dizzle, Tim Ventink, 1, 2, and 3 for the podium.
John's struggling with the pressure. He's managed to clear the BMW, but ever since that one Larry moment, Dizzle has been in his mirror. I'm watching him, and even I'm intimidated by that white BMW, and I'm just sat in the chair. But the thing is, Dizzle has now got Tim Ventink giving him a shove and push at the minute, telling him, come on, lad, get on with it. Clear him, so I can now clear him. But Tim had a great run through that sector and is right on the rear wing of the BMW.
He did, and Tim's had a great run. That seems to be where Dizzle's been struggling all race, in that first sector, that first complex area of this track. And Tim Ventink now with Romeo back in the pit, so just complimented Romeo's racing, but what has happened is back in the pits, maybe underfueled. Tim now pulls side by side, track temperature 32 degrees, track temperature 42 degrees. These tyres are going to be absolutely screaming. Tim side by side with the BMW. Does he have what it takes to go up the inside? He's made mistakes here before. Dizzle very wide to give Tim the room, and Tim up to 4th. And I think, Dan, Tim's the man to get this podium here, because John Goudet just started to run into mistakes, and Tim's the man on form. Don't forget, he has the freshest set of tyres.
I did say, didn't I? You go as long as you possibly can. Eke those tyres out as much as you can. So your second stint will be much, much better. And for Tim Ventink now, this is his prime opportunity to attack these two and get on the podium. Because let's be honest, Richie Michel is not catchable, nor is Max. But John Goudet is struggling. But what John has over the Ferrari is the straight line advantage. But when he makes mistakes like that, the Ferrari will pounce. And right now, Tim Venting's got a great run.
Yeah, it's got a great run. They're going to come down towards turn one. John's already defending. It's a long lap here, so there's not many laps left in this race. But where's John gone? Where's John gone? He's gone wide. He's gone off. Tim goes through. Dizzle might get him. Although Dizzle just clipped the curve there, so I don't think he will. Dizzle having his own moment, and John has just threw away a podium, if you ask me there, Dan. Too many mistakes from John, and he's thrown it away.
Yes, indeed. And just the pressure from Tim was enough. And to be fair, Tim has cleared those two in no
Pretty
time
quickly,
without no stress, really. Yeah. So, could he do anything about Richie Michel? He's still got time. If he's pumping those lap times in...
What are we doing? 140, 150 something?
Well, John Goudet's last lap...
Esteban Rebex has said stop sniffing. I love that. But yeah, stop sniffing, Dan.
Oh, sorry. You know, sorry for having a cold.
Dizzle's now within 7/10 of a second of John Goudet. Can he make anything up? Just watching Brian Craig and Sam go at it down the order. But going back to your comment, Richie Michel and Tim Venting, Tim's got fresher tyres, and at 42 degrees track temp, that is going to be key.
Yeah, I'm going to start talking like this now. It's not sniffing. So, as to a bar of X, you can do one.
He's more than welcome to, you know, step up and commentate for us. I hate comments like that. It really winds me up, you know. But yeah, I've lost train of thought.
Tim, fresher tyres over.
Yeah, Tim, fresher tyres and just, catching Richie Michel. Could be an interesting fight towards the end for the last 10 minutes, but we shall see. Moving mic away so I can have a sniff.
Yeah, we're watching the Brian Craig Sam battle, down 4p, 11 and 12 at the moment. And the only other battle really, Diego Flores and Romeo. Romeo's obviously just pitted. He's now on a comeback drive at the moment. And then if we go up to the top of the order, Dizzle's already lost out to second now to John Goudet. So Dizzle's just dropping back a little bit. Romeo's having a look at Diego Flores here. This for P18 and 19, and it's 14 seconds to DJ Phil. I don't think Romeo's getting that done. He has, though, got Diego Flores done. Back to Brian Craig and Sam further down the order. And Tim Venting, Dan, gap down to 4.8. He is charging.
He is indeed. He desperately wants to make it a 1-2 once again. My brain hurts because I had the hardest sniff that I could possibly have to help Esteban Borabets not do his head in. But right now, Max Mulder got this race under control. It is now down to the two Ferrari boys who is going to come out on top between them. Richie Michel and Tim Venting going for it. John Goudet is now basically covered Dizzle. I think the Ferrari just kind of pushed a Dizzle into John Goudet. John Goudet cracked under the pressure and that was it. Job done. Meanwhile, Sam is putting some pressure on Brian Craig as they now come down the main straight.
Just seen Mike's comment, just seen his Facebook post. We're going to ignore it. We're going to move on. Brian Craig he's pulled away from Sam, to be fair. That gap was a 10th a moment ago. Diego Flores trying to stick with Romeo, but Romeo's long gone. Gap now 4.6. Tim to Richie Michel at the line. Richie Michel's just lapped Diego Flores, so then he's got Romeo to lap in a moment, but obviously so will Tim Venting have to lap. In fact, Tim's got the orange McLaren. Who's that in the orange McLaren? That's Mark Tucker, who's in the way. 4.1 the gap now between second and third at the moment. Just under 8 minutes left in this race. And Tucker moves straight out of the way, does not want to part that. Dizzle back within a second of John Goudet. John, again, you know, just... needs to... this is possibly costing John more podiums, maybe race wins in races. Just them little mistakes that keep creeping in.
Yeah, he just needs to improve on the qualifying. Once he gets the qualifying sorted, then he's able to use that early on advantage and try and just nurse the tyres. And I think the problem is he spends a lot of time either chasing the the timer or just looking in the rear view, when really you just want to focus on getting your apexes, nursing those tyres and get them to the end. 3.7 is now the gap between Tim Ventink and Richie Michelle. So that is possibly coming down as Matt gets a lovely discount from our fantastic sponsors of Design Manchester. And if you do want to see what a lovely product that Matt will be purchasing very, very shortly, then head over to their Facebook page. And I might give the SimPlay logo a bit of an inspirational change. I might prop it into Photoshop and see if I can put in a particular flag.
Brian Craig's defending from Sam at the moment, so coming towards the back straight of this race then. Oh dear. I'm looking forward to the Olympics. Really looking forward to the Olympics. The cricket was on today. Nobody's talking about the cricket today, though, are they? I noticed, eh? England playing in that one. Yeah.
I must say, I must congratulate Lewis Hamilton on the great win
Fantastic.
at Silverstone.
What a race.
Beat the Dutch, for sure. Because there's no hard feelings between the Dutch and the English, let's put it that way. Meanwhile, Sam is really pressurising Brian Craig. I'm not sure if you're watching it as me.
I was having a look there.
Sam
He was.
Looked to the outside, didn't he? And but
that's one of them looks where he's letting him know he's there. You know, if you couldn't feel his presence already, just pull out. Hiya, here I am. Letting him know, putting him under that bit of pressure. Diesel's ebbing and flowing, back under a second now. Brian Craig just steadily going around, doing the job he needs to. Gapped him to Richie Michelle, 2.9 seconds. We've got about... Where's Max on track? First sector, coming onto the back straight now. I think we've got 2 laps after the one Max is on left in this race. So I think... I think Tim Ventink here, 2.5 now the gap. He's on fire at the moment.
I heard, Mike, that the championship tiddlywinks is more entertaining than the cricket. So,
yeah, but no, it's just funny. Nobody mentions England in any other sport. England's just won the World Cup of darts, but we didn't hear about that. Football has to be the big thing. It's irritating and annoying. Let's leave the football chat there for the night. The game's done. We put it to bed. We talk about the rest of the race. Tim has done great to get back to third after a nightmare. He has a Sam to the outside. Day late, dollar short on the brakes. That's not going to hurt his tyres too much. It'll scrub him a little bit, but Sam's going to have just negated all that time he's just gained back. I'm just going to flick to Richie Michelle. Where's he? Final sectors of the track. We're lapping about 150. Max is coming towards the line. What is it, 154s are we lapping? 55s? Maybe race pace, we're looking 56, 57?
56s.
So you're looking, let's say, 2 minutes. Max is going to cross this line, and we are going to get 2 more laps. We may even get 3. We may even get 3 laps. Max has just crossed the line with 3:23 left to go. So I think, we're going to be in for a few more laps in this one. But let's see what will happen here. Heard a slow car then. Not sure who that was. Richie Michelle, Dan. 1.5 seconds.
Yep, 1.5 seconds. It's coming down. And Tim really desperately wants to make it 1-2 after the mistake earlier on in the race. And he is hunting him down quickly as well. So we'll see how he gets on. If he'll make that, he should do, but then it's just getting to pass him. That's the thing. And Richie Michelle will try his absolute damn hardest to stay in front, so that's something to keep an eye on. But that is your main fight at the minute. Sam has already caught back up to Brian Craig again. Oh, as DJ Phil and Romeo are having a scrap just in front of these two.
That gap was 14 seconds about 3 laps ago. So either DJ Phil's made some mistakes or Romeo has had some really good pace, because Romeo's now side by side with him, coming down the back straight. And here they go together. DJ Phil, I tell you what, the Porsche looked a really good cut. Michael's moved into the top 10. So that Nissan's gone quietly about his business. Romeo up the inside of DJ Phil. Thank you, Mama, for the carrots. Easy as you like through. 0.8 of a second now. Tim Ventink to Richie Michelle. Them two are about to lap that of Romeo and DJ Phil, Dan. And there, look, Richie Michelle and Tim Ventink now. And Tim doing a great job. Where's Max Mulder coming through the final couple of corners now? Yeah, there's 2 more laps left in this race.
There is indeed, and Tim Ventink is right there. Now, he'll start suffering with dirty air the longer he's behind that Ferrari, so he'll want to try and clear him as quickly as possible, which will hurt his tyres. But what he has advantage-wise over Richie Michelle is the fact that his tyres are newer and fresher. Yeah. So he's able to just push a little bit more than Richie Michelle, but Richie Michelle, I think he was one of the first ones to pit.
He's
going to be struggling with pace right now.
He is, yeah, and you've got to think pit window opens 37.5 minutes, so he's been on them tyres a while longer than the sprint race he's done on them tyres, and that's where Tim Venting's probably gone better. On tyres that was dead, that was done, couldn't really do anything, he's done well then to use his fresh rubber to the end. This now the closest fight on track at the moment. Romeo way behind that of Darren Bell, so he's not going to make up any more places, and Sam 9/10 behind Brian Craig, so he's still trying to close that gap. John Gooday's got the gap out to 1.8 to Dizzle. And you have to say, if Tim Venting comes back through here, what will that be? Will that be 4 1-2s in a row for the BSP racing team? Yes, it will be. Tim Venting won 2 at Indianapolis with Max second. Max won the first one today with Tim second. So if Tim gets this, 4 back-to-back 1-2s. What a performance from these guys. It is, yeah. You'd love to say Red Bull, but 1's fine, 2's, they're a bit hard to come by at the moment.
Who's the second driver? I can't remember.
Yeah, Tim Venting's pulling out. Go on, Dan.
Yeah, he's going for the move. He looks like he's got the better run as they head up towards the fast sweeping right-hander. How brave is Richie Michelle feeling? Probably not brave at all because he's not really far enough.
Oh, Tim's had a wiggle.
Venting's gone wide. Yeah, but he just stays within limits, and that's it, done. Job done, unless he makes a mistake going into this right-hander, which is the tricky part of this sector. But he's managed to keep it facing the right way, keeping it on track as well, and job done. Tim Venting up into the top 2 now.
And it's a great move because we saw earlier on, Dan, before the pit stop, that he didn't have the confidence going through that part of the circuit. He was struggling around that section of the track and didn't have the confidence. John Andrews in the pits. Has he gone 1 lap of fuel too light then? Diego Flores on the back of Mark Tucker. They're coming under pressure from Robert Smith. Final lap of the race. I said there'd be an extra one. So we are on the final lap. Michael's now within half a second to Senna. So Michael's Nissan started to come good at the end, and we got Brian Craig, who's now been overtaken round the outside before the braking zone of the right-hander by Sam. Sam finally gets his man. Jacques Lund coming under pressure from Dennis Hansen as well. So a few battles down on the final couple of laps of this race.
Yep, indeed. It normally happens where you have a quiet lull, and now Sam is getting past Brian Craig, and we're just coming to the end of this race, and Dennis Hansen now onto the rear wing of Lunda as they come towards now the fast right-hander. McLaren versus McLaren, but Dennis Hansen not far enough alongside, and yeah, pretty much it is what it is at the minute, and Max Mulder on for another win and extends his championship lead.
Oh, what's happened to Lund there? Not sure, but he's gone very slow through the right-hander, and that's allowed Hansen to get through. Also, Sam's still ahead. Michael's trying to get that job done over Senna at the moment. There has been some great battles this season in Pro-Am. None more so than tonight. Richie Michelle still within a couple of tenths of Tim Venting, but not close enough. Max Mulder is coming around to start the final lap. He's about to lap Mirko Ricci, who will then be another lap down, but Jacques Lund loses out to Dennis Hansen. They will get one more lap left. Brian Craig has one more lap to try and get back past Sam. Michael has one more lap to get ahead as well. And if anything happens between Senna and Michael, they're going to have Sam and Brian Craig pass him in no time. But Max Mulder, what a night. What a night. What a drive for this team at the moment. This team are on form.
They are on form and they're looking strong. They then head back to America once again, to Laguna Seca, where they've been so successful. This is a bit brave, Max. This is very brave. He's waiting for Tim Venting to come with him. But Richie Michelle just there, so if anything did go wrong here. But Max comes home and takes another win.
Max Mulder wins round 12 of the season from his teammate Tim Venting. Richie Michelle is going to come across for P4. John Gooday, decent drive, just too many mistakes in his locker to come across the line for that P4. Dizzle will get P5 in this one. Good drive from him. Robert Smith, not a bad night for Robert Smith. A pair of P6s to his name. The Jackal, great return for the Jackal. Didn't see him out there last week. He's back with a bang, and that bang being P7 after he's had 4 races. Oh, is he out of fuel? He's never out of fuel. He's Justin Winter. No, it's not Justin Winter.
Oh, excuse me.
Is Justin Winter going to get the Jackal? I think Jackal's out of fuel. Justin Winter gets him. Justin Winter nips past him.
So will Senna. Senna gets him. Michael gets him.
Oh, the Jackal. He's come home 10th. He's come home 10th. Oh, no. how it goes wrong. We're just going to wait for Dennis Hansen. So Justin Winter will come home P7. Senna then is going to get P8. Michael will get P9. The Jackal P10. Sam will cross that line for P11. Brian Craig, good night Brian Craig, 11th and 12th for him. Naval Gomez, in fact, sorry, is the next car to the line. He's going to cross it. Is he out of fuel as well? I think because Max done so well, he's got the extra lap. I think drivers are out of fuel. Here comes Hansen and Lund to cross the line. It is going to be Hansen 14th. Lund will take 15th place. And then we are just awaiting Romeo for P16. Other finishers, DJ Phil in 17th. Diego Flores was 19th. Mark Tucker come across the line for... Where did Bell finish? Can't see Bell on my list.
Excuse me.
No, I can't see Darren Bell.
He left the session. Possibly left the session. Romeo's coming to the pits.
Yeah, Romeo's going to pit. So where did Bell finish on that list? Mirko Ricci was 22nd. John Andrews was...
excuse me.
John Andrews was 21st. Diego Flores 20th. DJ Phil was 18th. Mark Tucker was then 19th. Darren Bell come across the line there, P17 in this one. Then I've just put him down as P1. And what we will do is, because of Richie Michelle getting onto the podium, I think we just change over to the Discord party chat and get Richie Michelle into the chat. So give us 2 seconds and we will head into that one now.
Hello. Driver of the day. Driver of the day poll is currently out as well, so guys, get your votes in on who you think driver of the day was. And yeah, let's get those votes in. I apologise again to everyone who's been listening to me sniffle and die, but I've been trying my very best. As we do have 2 of the drivers in. Reminder as well, hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, hit the bell to be notified so you don't miss anything here at SimPlay Motorsport. Have a look at our fantastic sponsors as well, Design Manchester and Audio Sport. All their links are in the description below. And make sure you head over to the Discord page and also head over to the SimGrid if you want to be a part of the endurance race on Saturday. And then obviously the GT4s make their return once again. And we will see at Laguna Seca how they get on with the new format. But I do believe we have 2 of the drivers in with us.
We do indeed. I will unmute Tim Venting and we'll let you start with Tim while I get the tables up to date.
We'll start off with Tim. And Tim, obviously last week you were pretty dominant at Indianapolis, taking both wins. This time, did you feel like you needed to give it to your teammate? Because it seems like Max just had a little bit more over you this week.
Yeah, I didn't really... Yeah, the setup didn't really feel good this whole night. I don't know what it was, but yeah, he was just a little bit quicker. And the car was unstable in some corners and sometimes weren't savable, just like you saw on lap 1.
Definitely, indeed. Obviously, I had seen your fantastic lap time of a 54.9. Couldn't do it tonight, which was a shame. But nonetheless, it's been a good night's worth of racing for yourself. Obviously, the first stint of this race, obviously with that big spin and 360 that you ended up doing, did that just damage the tyres in the first stint and just couldn't do anything with it?
That actually might be it. I mean, the car felt horrible the whole first stint. I don't know what it was, but I just couldn't get out of P9, where I got after the spin. And yeah, after in the second stint, my car was completely fine again. I had really good pace. I also got the fastest lap. and managed to drive to P2.
Fantastic. Yeah, most likely you flat spotted the tyres and they were just dead at that point. Obviously, you and Max seem to be on a roll at the minute, taking 1-2s in the last 4 rounds that we've done. What is it going to take for you to stop taking 1-2s? Because at the minute, you two are on a roll as we head to Laguna Seca. Will that circuit hold you two up, or do you still think you're going to be quite strong at Laguna?
Well, there's a lot of tracks I still haven't really played on this game. Laguna Seca is one of them. So, I can't really say anything about my pace. But, I'll just try my best and see where I end up.
Well, nonetheless, mate, congratulations on the 2 second places here tonight and the fastest lap as well. So, big points for yourself. As we now move over to Max Mulder, I believe Max should be unmuted now. Let's see if there he is. I can hear him. Max, obviously, like I said, looking at the times in practice and then looking coming into the week, it looked like it was going to be a strong night for your teammate once again. But when it came to crunch time, it was you on top. And was it, like I said, to Tim, was it a bit of an exchange from last week, giving him 2 race wins at Indianapolis? You thought, I'm going to have the 2 wins at Paul Ricard?
Yeah, of course I want to beat him this week. Just, for the team feeling, just for the little battle between us. So, very happy with it.
Obviously, the McLaren is a very strong car. Looked very strong here as well. How has it felt for you? And how was the tyres? Because we knew that tyres was going to be a talking point. How was the car in general around the circuit?
The car was good in all the sessions, only in race 2 with the pit stop. After the pit stop it was good again, because before the pit stop it didn't feel very good, but I was able to keep the pace, so it was good.
Like I said, a fantastic win from yourself, and like I said to Tim, it seems like you two are on a roll. You just can't seem to keep you two off the top spots. Might have to drag you up into the pro. Obviously not until next season, but you've got to be proud about that. 4 races in a row, both of you have been a 1-2.
Yeah, we practice a lot for this, so next season for the pro we going.
Well, I definitely, if I'm still there, I look forward to racing you boys. Laguna Seca is next on the calendar. You got a little bit more knowledge around there than Tim Venting, so how do you think you're going to get on at Laguna?
I need to beat Tim there again. That's my main focus.
Obviously, Dizzle just seems to be struggling each round. Do you think that you and Tim are starting to eke away from him, or is Dizzle still there giving you a couple of headaches here and there?
No, I think Dizzle will still fight for the championship. The BMW was not the strongest car around here, and he also got a bit of bad luck, I think, in the first race with getting hit in turn 1. So I think he's still in a fight for it.
Ideal. Nonetheless, mate, congratulations on the 1-2 once again and the win here this evening. It's a sterling job. And I believe as well you've got driver of the day as well from the fans in the vote. So congratulations on that one as well. And we'll see those two at Laguna Seca. I believe Matt will be back in a few moments' time. But that is that. Paul Ricard has produced some great racing here once again. And we look forward to Laguna Seca next on the calendar. The Dutch run supreme here tonight. Not so in the football. It looks like England will be going into the final. Matt's going to be absolutely loving that. And he's going to be wearing his English shirt ready to cheer them on Sunday after the endurance race. But that is it here at Paul Ricard. It's been fantastic for you all. If I was going to give driver today, I'm going to give it to Max Mulder as well. A special shout out to Michael. He did particularly well in race 1. Just needs to qualify. I'm not sure what Matt's driver of the day is. I don't even know if he's there.
Yeah, I'm
Matt,
here.
Are you there?
Yeah, I'm here. I am here. Can you hear me? Yeah, right. I'm going to give mine to Tim, just for that comeback drive in race 2.
And you're going to be wearing your English shirt?
Not English. Won't wear an England shirt. Max Mulder leads the championship, 49.5 points clear of Dizzle. Tim Ventic now moves into P3 with Richie Michelle moving up to 4th. John Gooday down in 5th place. Then Justin Winter P6. Estwembo Rebex is 7th with Sam in 8th. Brian Craig P9 with Robert Smith rounding out the top 10. Paul Williams moves into 11th ahead of Fat Bloke with Mirko Ritchie down in 13th. Naval Gomez is P14 from Diego Flores. Darren Bell P16 with Dean in 17th. DJ Phil from Mark Tucker. Hansen rounds out the top 20. Bruno Diaz is 21st with Kieran Argent now down in 22nd. From Michael and Cranky Duckhead, Micro J's, Graham, John Andrews, Senna the Jackal, Dean Wasocki, Bjork Lund, Andrew Taylor, Nuke Quace, Romeo Oliver, and MB Pitts. Constructors' Championship looks a little like this then. It is BSP Racing who have 147.5 points over that of Greasy Bandits Racing. Richie Corsa, second place there, gaining on Greasy Bandits a little bit. Stage 2 Motorsport P4 with Team FBR, Team Mello. FSO Junior Racing Team, Vorta Racing, lead Greasy Bandits Racing Junior independent teams from Forever Forward who go from first to last in that little battle at the end of this one. But like Dan says, it's driver of the day for Max in the fans vote. The commentators vote goes a split between Max and Tim. Great racing for all. Shout out to all the other drivers as well. But yeah, we had to pull record next week for we had to pull record tomorrow night with me and Phil Raid, and possibly a guest commentator will be joining us live for all the action. 8 p.m. GMT. You will not want to miss the pros go around here. Should be a fantastic night. We then go Imola 7 p.m. GMT +1 on Saturday for the 3-hour endurance of Imola. Join us there live for that one. Before Dan Davis brings you the commentary live Monday night, 8 p.m. GMT +1 for the GT4s at Laguna Seca, heading off a triple header Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday of GT4s, GT3s, all at Laguna Seca, where me and Dan will be back live for Pro-Am next week. Dan, a pleasure as always. That signals the halfway stage of the season in which Max Mulder is maybe now just starting to look at this championship, but we have some BMW tracks coming up. Can Dizzle find some form? Only one place to find out. That is here at SimPlay Motorsport. Don't forget, if you are new or haven't done already, hit that thumbs up button, hit the bell to be notified when we are live, and subscribe to the channel if you are new. We'll see you next time. Goodbye.
Goodbye.